Hello and welcome everyone to the Energy Medicine Summit. This is Dr. Ariel Policano, and it is my great pleasure to be with you today for our exciting Energy Medicine Summit. Thank you so much for taking your time and being with us, and we have so much in store for you today, and we are greatly blessed by your presence. Thank you so much. For those of you who don't know me, I am a naturopathic doctor with over 2 decades of experience in natural health. I was clinically trained in Portland, Oregon, and my interests and my focus have been group work, group detox, and since 2013, I've been specializing in energy medicine. And it's been my great pleasure to bring you different technologies in energy medicine, including the Genius Insight. This Facebook group, Energy Medicine Life, is dedicated for your understanding of the genius so that you can understand and learn more about the genius and other energy medicine technologies besides the genius. So this is a place for us to exchange ideas about the new revolution in energy medicine. And I am so excited to be with you. Some people are saying hello from Louisiana. I hope this is recorded because I'm not getting the video to open, and all types of wonderful things. People are saying, is there a Zoom link? Well, it's not a Zoom event, but I can understand that could be confusing. It is actually just a Facebook Live event. So I'm sending you much love. Please share this broadcast on your Facebook page. So please share this on your own Facebook page. And during the summit, we will be joined by the most amazing, wonderful people around the planet. And I am so excited. So thank you again. I'm so excited that you're here. And just getting wonderful amount of comments here. I have a presentation for you. I want to talk to you a little bit about energy medicine in general and what's happening in the world in relation to energy medicine. So I'm going to get that keyed up in just a moment. Remember to like or even love our presentation, and please share it with those around you. Let me just see if I can get this read mode that I need. Wonderful. And very much welcome everyone. I'm not getting people's names on this feed here, so I'm going to see if I can switch my feed so I can get your wonderful names that are joining us. So share this live feed on your page. There we go. And please like or love that particular feed. That really helps us a lot. All right, there we go. Oh, I love it. So we actually have my presentation there somewhat. And let's see if I can switch this around a little bit. All right. And nope, we want it this way. All right, I think you're not gonna be able to see too much of that, but I will. Hopefully you'll enjoy the pictures there. Technology is always amazing. A warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for everyone viewing. Thank you for everyone watching the recording. Remember to like and love this particular broadcast and send it out to people around you, and let people know that you're really into energy medicine because it's a tool of self-empowerment. And that's really what I want to talk to you about today. Thank you all for joining me. Again, this is Dr. Ariel Policano, and I'm excited to be with you. Thank you so much for checking in and sharing your time with us today. We're going to be here for the next few hours. So if you need to jump in and then jump out of the Energy Medicine Summit, then just come back and join us. The entire thing is being recorded. And I am going to be approving people throughout the summit. So if anybody needs to join the Energy Medicine group, then I'm here to approve those. So that is all taken care of. And again, this is a new revolution in frequency and light that we are exploring today. Today, our focus is on quantum biofeedback, but we will have other focuses in energy medicine life. If there's a particular technology you would like me to look at or share with me, then go ahead and comment in the Energy Medicine Life page, maybe not today, and we'll all be sharing this new revolution and what is bringing to us. But what I really wanted to share with you today in the presentation is, what do you want out of energy medicine technologies? Because there are several different things going on in our energy medicine world, in our technology world. And in the technology world as a greater global movement, there are technologies that are advancing our ability to monitor and know everything about ourselves. And some of that can be really positive, but I want you to start to evaluate which of the energy medicine technologies help you to enhance your relationship to yourself, or which energy medicine technologies actually cause you to go more outside of yourself. So, and what are the implications of different measurement technologies now that we're advancing so much in the speed of technology? For example, when you put on that Apple Watch and now you can do an instant EKG to find out if you have atrial fibrillation, does that knowledge serve you? If it does, what is the implication? Is the implication you will be handed a bottle of medicine and that's going to be your savior today? Or is it more empowering to be aware of something that can help you to work with your body's own innate intelligence? And it begs a greater question about what is healing? What causes our bodies to heal? And so this energy and frequency revolution is causing us to ask ourselves, does healing come from something outside of ourselves, or are we just looking for subtle shifts that help to enhance our body's own healing capability? So that's what all of this is about. What are the energy medicine technologies that serve us, that help us to heal in a holistic way, and help to encourage us to heal from within? So that's what all of this is about. And as we discover more of these type of technologies and we become more engaged in these types of technologies, I believe we will get greater pleasure out of life. We will be stronger. We will have more vitality. We will use these types of technologies as a way of making our lives better because they're created through us. So having more success, having better relationships, being able to use these as a tool of manifestation. We know we can create our own reality, but we are looking for structured tools to be able to do that. Sometimes just thinking the thought, I'm going to create it, isn't as helpful as having different processes and technologies that can really help us to do that. Welcome to everyone who is joining us. Please share this on your personal page, on your business page, wherever you want to share this with people and let them know about this. Thank you so, so much. Remember to like and love our presentation today. I'm giving you some information about energy medicine and some thoughts about energy medicine in this presentation here. And so I want to talk a little bit more about that. Let's actually move on to the next slide here. So again, when you're looking at different technologies, which ones do you want to be part of? Which ones do you want to take home with you and gather new toys? In your evaluation, think about if you can't, you guys, can you do a sound check? Is the sound okay, you guys? I'm getting some feedback that there's no sound, so let me know. And let me switch that. Does that help with the sound? So give me a sound check, you guys. Can you guys hear anything on the sound right now? Quick check-in on the sound. Are you guys hearing me? So is the sound, are you guys doing well on the sound? Hearing the sound now, you guys? Yes, no, maybe so? All right, well, hopefully we're, let me do that. So that's showing, okay. The sound has been great the entire time. Thanks, you guys. Oh my gosh, thank you very much. Whoever said that is an angel. Okay, So we've entered the age of technology and light, and how can this ultimately serve you? Speaking of technology, okay, so that's how we want to look at things. If you are going to be able to measure your blood sugar at every moment of the day due to new technology, perhaps a chip that someone wants you to insert into your body, does that serve you to know what your blood sugar is at every moment of the day? Do you need to know every genetic permutation that you have? Does it serve you? Does it enhance your own relationship to yourself? Does it work in alignment with your own innate intelligence, with your own innate wisdom? Does it help you to heal yourself? So these are good questions to start to ask, because I believe we're going to be inundated with many technologies and tools that are supposed to make our lives better. So the one thing we want to be a little bit careful of is, as we know more about ourselves, there will be a tendency to see it as everything is a problem. And so there will be drug companies that will be very, very excited to come and present you with a solution to every small, misalignment that you may have. So be careful of this. The example I just gave with the Apple Watch, have people seen this with the Apple Watch, that you can now do an EKG with the Apple Watch? If you've seen the Apple Watch that has the ability to do an EKG, let me know that. Let me know that down in the chat area. Have you seen the Apple Watch can do an EKG? The EKG allows you to take an instant EKG from your watch. And recently there was a gentleman featured on Good Morning America saying that his life had been saved by finding out from his watch that he had atrial fibrillation. Now, atrial fibrillation is an irregular heartbeat that you probably should be aware of, so it doesn't lead to a heart attack. But the way the story goes, what is the solution? Is the solution from finding that out that now you take a medication 3 times a day to control your atrial fibrillation, or a Coumadin blood thinner that could have other unintended side effects? So another question that we're getting to ask with energy and frequency is, what are the side effects of the different therapeutics that we've been using? Because energy medicine allows us to implement more subtle shifts. We're moving from a tendency to hit things over the head, boom, we're going to radiate the heck out of this thing, to much more subtle shifts. And that's what I wanted to visit with you about today is, what is it that the body really needs to heal itself? Does it need more of a subtle tap? Or does it need to really be hit over the head? And we're just going to force this healing to happen no matter what. So thank you, all of our new people who are joining us. I really greatly appreciate you being here. We're going to be joined by our guests in just a moment, but I wanted to give you some food for thought and introduce you to Energy Medicine Life and me, Dr. Ariel Policano, so that we can have some context for our greater discussion with our practitioners and users of biofeedback today. So I wanted to propose to you that the body, the human body, who we are, is a natural system of healing. We are a system of nature, just like a forest is a system, and nature is a system as a whole. Everything around us is a natural system that we see around us that isn't man-made. And in fact, human beings are these natural systems, and natural systems are self-organizing. That's a really important term, self-organizing. So how do we enhance our ability to be self-organizing? Self-organizing implies coherence. And what brings us back into coherence? The energy of love, the energy of relaxation, saying a sacred mantra or a sacred sound, seeing sacred geometry, thinking a good thought. These can all help us to self-organize. So I want you to think about energy medicine technologies as a question in your mind. do these technologies help to enhance your natural self-organizing ability? And as it turns out, it's very likely that you only need subtle shifts, subtle shifts, subtle shifts, because every therapeutic that we try to apply to the human body to enhance health may have an unintended consequence. When you take a supplement out of a bottle, what are you really trying to achieve? You're trying to evoke a change in vibrational status within you. But what is in the bottle? In the bottle may be some ingredients that were made in a lab or made in China and had some, some unexpected additives put into the bottle. And what about all of the frequencies that were applied when the bottle was scanned? There are many, many things to think about. So begin to imagine what are the most subtle shifts that you can experience in order to become more, in order to restore that self-organizing system. And that is what energy medicine is about. And that's what biofeedback is about. Just applying the most subtle shifts that work in concert, that work in partnership with your body's own healing abilities, that works with your innate intelligence. Think about all of the things that you're experiencing in your body right now where you're experiencing wellness. You're experiencing so much wellness in your body right now. Your heart is beating, your blood is flowing through your body, your liver is doing a tremendous amount of detoxification, your kidneys are causing all the waste to be eliminated. There's so many things going right in your body. Your body is this self-organizing system where the energy is so strong, pushing you towards wellness. We just have to provide the most subtle and gentle shifts. And that's what biofeedback affords us. That's what biofeedback gives us. Awareness of where the blockages are. And then the ability to remove these blockages with a wonderful technology. And I think this is our highest hope that we can have for the advancement of technology. One that increases and enhances our relationship to ourselves and brings us further inside that relationship where we are actively finding greater power within ourselves to heal ourselves, to create money and abundance in our lives, to live in the place that we want to live, to have the types of relationships that we want to live. So again, this is biofeedback at its highest level. Thank you so much for everyone. This is the Energy Medicine Summit brought to you by the Energy Medicine Life Group. I am Dr. Ariel Policano. In the next few hours, we're going to hear from real practitioners of biofeedback. And in fact, at the top of the hour, we will be joined by Silky Polivka. I am extremely excited to have Silky join us. She's joining us from Germany, where it's quite late, and we will be talking to her about her experience, her 20-year history in this field of biofeedback and what we call bioresonance. Now, some people are saying in the comments they're having problems connecting. I hope that's not the case, you guys. Is everyone connected now? Are you doing well? Is the sound good? Please do let me know. And we are approving people as they ask to enter the room, so everybody has been granted permission. And thank you so, so much again for being part of our class today, of our summit, where we're hearing cases. We're going to hear of actual transformations of people, what they're doing with the genius, how they're using it, and different techniques. So people are saying that they're connected just fine, that they're able to hear things. I say, thank the goddess. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm glad my camera connected today. Okay, so in the chat, go ahead and put in the chat where you're from. Please go ahead and put in our chat. Tell me where you're joining us from today. Are you joining us from the United Kingdom? Are you joining us from Germany? Are you joining us from Louisiana? Are you joining us from Texas? Go ahead and put in the comments. We've got a comment here that says, acknowledging what is working in our bodies is a wonderful approach and really positive. Thank you for that direction. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And thank you for that wonderful comment. And that helps me to know that you're actually understanding what I'm trying to transmit. So that's a wonderful blessing. So in that spirit, that is exactly how the body does work. The body, the truth we're discovering is that the body needs the most subtle shifts. It doesn't need the big hammer over the head. And that is what these new subtle energy medicine techniques bring to us. This working in partnership with your own inner being, with your own self-organizing system. And there's a little bit of a hurt, a little bit of a trauma, and we're just going to move that trauma out of the way. We're going to recognize it. We're going to become aware of it. And then we're just going to remove the obstacle. We're going to provide harmonizing frequencies that help to ease that tension between us and that trauma until there's no energy there, no friction, no stress remaining. That is what biofeedback is really about. That's what it gives us, a natural force, a natural form of healing, which restores our own self-organizing system. And I'll say time and time again that biofeedback is not just about health. Health is just one aspect. And think about it as a self-organizing system, you're naturally abundant. You naturally have everything that you need. You're naturally healthy. It's all of these things that biofeedback can be a vehicle for manifesting. It can be a vehicle for getting those obstacles out of the way. So those of you joining us who don't know which biofeedback we're talking about, the one that we're talking about today is the Genius Insight. And you can go to awakentotalhealth.com, awakentotalhealth.com, and you can download this biofeedback system for yourself. You don't have to do anything with it except just explore it and see if there's something interesting in it for you. But if you go to awakentotalhealth.com, that is my website, and will show you more about what this particular system has to offer to you. But look for it in any system. It could be any biofeedback system. There are many quantum biofeedback systems that are out there. This is the one that I found to be the most helpful, the most practical, the most affordable, the most accessible. And that's something I also wanted to talk about. In terms of what healing should be. Let's try that again. Healing should be fully accessible to everyone. Healing should be available to everyone. Healing should be understood. You should be able to understand different aspects of healing. Healing should be really accessible to everyone. It shouldn't just be accessible to people who have expensive medical degrees or who have patents on certain types of medication. So remember that it is available to all of us at all times. And that's how you know that something is a true form of healing. So Awaken Total Health to find out more about this particular form of biofeedback. And yes, and so when we're evaluating any type of healing, is it something that is reasonably expensive? Is it within your reach and the reach of most people? I mean, who really benefits from billion-dollar technologies? My assertion is that if something it costs so much and is available to so few, does it really represent a true form of healing? Is there something else that could be used? And the way to look at or evaluate something, if it is truly beneficial, is, think about nature. You could just go outside and find nettles or find dandelion, and every body can really understand that nettles or dandelion could be healthy for your digestion or for your liver. Everybody can understand that. It's available to everyone. It's relatively inexpensive. And I think these are the ways that we really find the true measures of healing. The biofeedback tool that we're talking about, you can get it to start with, about $1,200 to have all the training and everything that you need. You could spend a little bit more to get other testing panels, but basically it's accessible to most people. We even have a subscription for $97 a month. So this is the idea, is that it's accessible to most people. Anyone, a layperson, can learn how to use this. The majority of people who are using this form of biofeedback are lay people. Just everybody who's on here, not everybody has a medical degree, but everybody has the ability to learn how to use this to benefit themselves in the way that they want to derive benefit from this system. So getting back to those natural systems are self-correcting. We don't need to provide chemotherapy or radiation to the forest. The forest has ways of self-organizing. And one of the things I really want you to take away from this lecture today, or this summit today, or this class today, is to think about how your body is self-organizing. One of the most interesting things we came across when we were studying disease in naturopathic college, we would come across things like pediatric illnesses like measles or chickenpox, and the teacher would say, oh, these are self-limiting. Self-limiting, what does that mean? That means, oh, the body just figures out a way to heal from it. You don't have to do anything. And I thought, why aren't all diseases like that, Ultimately, the body really is self-limiting. It's just about removing the obstacles to cure. That's the most important thing. And one of the greatest healing techniques is what somebody commented about just earlier. Imagine your body and thinking about all of the systems that are working correctly right now. Just observing that your feet are able to walk and you're able to stand, and your pancreas is producing all the digestive enzymes that you need. And when you put food in your tummy today, it all digested and was able to be turned into energy. So really focusing on sort of that rush of wellness, or that natural force, that vital force of wellness that's within you, it's so strong. It's hard to even work against it. Like, we have to be really, really clever as human beings to work against that natural healing system. And if you think about it, kids, they're so resilient because they're really in touch with that powerful system of healing. Nothing really phases them or bothers them. They just want to get outside and play. And when you can tap into that, my body is so powerful, this vitality is so powerful, it's just overwhelmingly taking me towards wellness, you will instantly start to feel better no matter what is going on at that moment. If you just let yourself experience a little bit of that, it's about recognizing your true nature. Biofeedback is a tool that lets you explore your true nature, because it's an investigative tool. With a few touches of the button, you get to look at sort of this whole picture of yourself, the details of where you are in space and time. It gives you awareness about where those little blockages that need those subtle movements are. And they could be emotional blockages. You get an instant feed on what are the emotions that are most up for me today, or what are the places that I need the support in terms of mineral energy. And it really begs the question, when we look at minerals in biofeedback, are we looking at an actual deficiency? People ask that all the time. And what should we do about that deficiency? What if all deficiencies can be rectified through frequency? When you take a medication, a supplement, a vitamin, a mineral, what are you trying to make happen within you? You're trying to evoke a change of frequency. What if you just were able to push a button to generate that frequency, and then you were able to take that frequency into your own system? That would be the most subtle and non-toxic way that you could provide change, a dynamic change and healing within your system. So imagine the money you'll save on supplements, to be able to just take in the frequency of magnesium and entrain yourself into the frequency of the particular vitamin or mineral that you need. And it's really interesting. It really begs the question of what actually happens when you read about a supplement. Have you ever been reading a magazine or a web article about maybe coenzyme Q10 or alpha lipoic acid, or something that was just really struck you as this would be incredible, and so it prompted you to order the vitamin, the mineral, the supplement? You received it. You probably took it for about 3 or 4 days, but somehow you felt better. And then the bottles just piled up in the closet somewhere. And it's my assertion that what you received was an energetic frequency treatment, even just in your thinking and focusing on the energy. You were able to bring it in to your field. And with biofeedback, you're also in a more tangible way able to entrain that particular frequency of the mineral into your system by running the frequency. And perhaps this is the new age of frequency and light. Think about how practical, how many unscattered bottles we'll have all over the earth of all of the bottles of supplements. So what if we could take that frequency and infuse it into water and create a frequency in water? We know that water is very impressionable. If we take the frequency of magnesium and we imprint it into water and then we drink the water, this is another way we can entrain the frequency in a very subtle way, in a way that works with our body's innate intelligence and has very few side effects and costs very little. So now we can equilibrate access to good healthcare and good tools through energy medicine. And this should be when you're evaluating, would this be a good thing? Does it represent the true nature of healing? Can it bring me something? Can it bring something to me that enhances my relationship to myself, my relationship to the truth, and helps to empower me that I'm not a victim? If you look at the entire Western medicine paradigm, if you think about it, what it is informing us about is that everything needs to come from the outside. So when you think about Western medicine, it's the pill you need to take, it's the diagnosis the doctor needs to tell you about, it's the chemotherapy, it's the procedure, everything comes from the outside. Whereas biofeedback begins to inform you about subtle shifts you will make from within you. And that ultimately you are the creator, you are the arbiter of that change, because you're the one who's pushing the buttons and choosing the frequencies. You are creating the change. You are not a victim. You are the chooser of removing the obstacles so that you can create or become more in alignment, or remove the obstacles that are stopping you from being that wonderful self-organizing system. Well, nothing really stops you from being self-organizing, but sometimes some little blips and blocks, and we even forget that we are a self-organizing system. That's probably the biggest problem that happens, is that we are in the process of forgetting that we have so much vitality and so much of that force that is taking us towards wellness every second of the day. So even today, even listening to this today, just begin to become aware of all the things in your body that are working correctly, and really feel that force that is just, you don't have to do anything most of the time. Most of the time, it's probably good that you're not aware that all of these things are going on at one time. And they're just in the background every day. You're doing what you need to do. The heart is beating at the right rate. The liver is detoxifying the blood at exactly the speed that it needs to. It's really kind of fascinating, but you are that self-organizing system of nature. So we have wonderful people checking in from all over the world right now. We have Barbara from Seattle, Karen from Saskatchewan, where it looks very cold and very snowy. Boone, North Carolina is trying desperately to connect. I hope you did connect. Yates Center, Kansas, Southern California, Englewood, Florida, Tucson, Arizona. Yes, Tucson. Carolyn from Pennsylvania. Yay. And Tucson, yes, we are recording it. It will be recorded and it will be ready and available for you. So let's approve some people so that they can join. Thank you for joining. If you're joining this just now, we're going to be having guests at the top of the hour. And I'm really just explaining what energy medicine is, why it works, and what we should expect or look for in these advancing technologies. Right now, you may not realize it, but there is a tremendous revolution in technology. Probably it's unavoidable. And so with this, a lot of the medical advancements are going to be every which way that they can measure you. And it's very likely that they will be able to measure every aspect of you in real time. And so is this something that's beneficial? What about it is beneficial? Is this something that maybe we want to avoid? Maybe it's not beneficial if it affords many companies to start offering you more medications so that every little glitch in the body could be corrected at that moment. So it's something that we want to think about. It does concern me that all these companies want to measure every single thing about you at so many times. What if you had a personal ability to do that and you could look into it because it's your business, you're the one who needs to know. And also with the implication of them measuring you is that you wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Unless you have this wonderful medicine and this wonderful intervention, what would you be able to do about your own atrial fibrillation? What would you be able to do about your own blood pressure? And biofeedback says you are able to give subtle shifts to your own energy field in order to create those changes. And that to me is exciting technology. That is the technology that I want to be a part of. That is the technology that myself as a naturopathic doctor have been involved in sharing this information with you because I see your healing and your greatest health is when you are empowered to be a part of it. And biofeedback inherently gives you that ability to be an active part of it. And that's thrilling and exciting because it reveals something about your true nature. And that's really, really important. So let's look at a few more of these slides. And thank you for everybody sharing where you're from. Please like and love this broadcast if you do indeed find it helpful. And please share it on your Facebook page and let other people know that the summit is going on. We're going to be hearing from users of biofeedback, and we're going to understand how they're using this technology in their lives. And so this is indeed very, very exciting. And so in just in about 20 minutes, we'll be having our first guest. And I'm really glad that a lot of you have been able to join us through the Facebook page and be a part of this. You can go to awakentotalhealth.com and you can download the trial for the Genius Insight. If biofeedback is something that you want to just, hey, I wonder what that's about, and I want to learn more of it. That is what I've been teaching people for the last 6 years, since 2013. And we've always allowed people to use this technology for free for 14 days. At the top of the hour, we'll be having Silky Polivka, a wonderful longtime bioresonance practitioner, join us. At 12 o'clock, we'll have Sophie Guez, a biofeedback practitioner she'll be joining us from France. Dr. Heather Juby will be joining us from the East Coast at 1 o'clock, and CL Walco will be joining us at 2 o'clock. And at 2:45, we'll be joined by Ellen Pendergast. So we have an incredible amount of guests lined up. And so you can come in and out of the summit as you want to, bring your lunch, bring a friend, join us. Ronnie is here from South Africa. We really have so many wonderful people. Linda Crockett, or Linda C, I should say, is here from Phoenix. So that's so, so great, you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this. So as I was saying, in the age of light and frequency, it's really the subtle tools that are going to win out, you guys. Have you ever had a deep tissue massage? I'm sure that you have. Let me see if I'm doing this correctly here. Okay. If you've ever had a deep tissue massage or you've ever been rolfed, it can be a life-changing experience. But haven't you also had the experience of being rolfed and just thought, oh my gosh, I don't want to come in for another session? It's that hard, deep tissue. And I want you to compare and contrast it with if you've ever had a session and then the practitioner has held a very light touch to your neck or your back or your shoulder. And I believe that this is a time where we are discovering that it is those very light, subtle touches, the most gentle of changes. If you've used quantum biofeedback or you've used the Genius, you're sometimes left wondering, what exactly is happening here? Because it is a very subtle frequency that has a very light touch, that has a very light imprint, that as a result has virtually no side effects. And that's what we want to look for. We want to look for these subtle shifts. And if you think about it, acupuncture, Chinese medicine, is ultimately something that provides very subtle shifts to the energy field. And I believe that is why it is so effective. So everything that we utilize has some type of a side effect. Even when we use herbal medicine, especially when we use supplements, we have to be careful. So find the most subtle intervention that you can, a light touch. Homeopathy is a perfect example where there's no actual medicine. It is the energetic resonance. It is the memory of the medicine. But even sometimes knowing which homeopathic remedy to use can be confusing. So if you had something that could help you to choose the right one for that person, and that's biofeedback is really saying, what is your frequency at this time? What frequencies are you not in alignment with? And where that misalignment is, let's create harmony. Let's play this frequency, this little song that helps you to become more in alignment with yourself. And that is why we're seeing such profound shifts and changes. It's really just providing restoration to that self-organizing system. We're just pulling out a little piece, a little blockage, and it's probably the tiniest of blockages if we could look at it from a greater perspective. And then we're allowing that self-organizing system to do what it does best. So that really is what biofeedback is about. But when you're looking at all of the things that you can choose to do, whether it be a pharmaceutical medication or you're going to take a multivitamin today, ask yourself, what is going to be the ultimate upshot of that? What will be the side effect? Are there any side effects? Are there any side effects that you should know about before you take that pill? And that's what we're asking, because inside of ourselves, we're suspecting, wow, maybe frequency and light is the answer. And maybe I can make that change with just a subtle movement of energy. So that's what this is all about. Now we're discovering the nuts and bolts of that. We want to understand more about what that is. We want to understand more about what that can bring to our lives. And that's what this entire summit is about learning about what we will choose. Well, I would rather choose light and frequency. I feel like somehow this energy stuff is really significant. I feel like I'd rather use the energetics, is what a lot of people are saying. And we know the wonderful work of Jerry Tennant. A lot of you are familiar with Jerry Tennant's work in the world of PEMF, right? Pulsed electrical magnetic field therapy. And in that therapy, in the books that he's written about that, he says, we are electrical beings before we are ever chemical beings. We are electrical before we're chemical. Ooh, if we're electrical before we're chemical, maybe I should be working with subtle energy medicine rather than trying to manipulate my biochemistry through these many bottles of supplements. And boy, that would save me a lot of money too, right? So that's what this is all about. It's a new and exciting way of thinking, but recognizing which energy medicine technologies really enhance that empowerment and that wonderful relationship, really revealing something true about yourself, and then putting that power squarely in your hands where it deserves to be for you to make the shift in your life. I really appreciate everyone so much being here. Thank you so much for being part of our summit today, part of the Energy Medicine Summit. Remember to put down in the comments where you're joining us from. Wanda just put down that she's joining us from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And it's amazing how over the past 6 years since I've been working in the world of quantum biofeedback and with the genius specifically, how our tribe is expanding. So many people are so much more able to listen and hear the message of subtle energy medicine today. So it is really super exciting. Hello from Minnesota. I love our Midwestern group, our Midwestern tribe. So now that I've been talking about energy medicine and evaluating it and all the things that we've been exploring today, I don't know why that is happening. Okay, there we go. All right, let's talk about what I consider to be the ultimate advancement, which is quantum biofeedback in the form of a mobile application. The particular one we're talking about is the Genius Insight, but that doesn't mean it is the ultimate one or the only one. It is just the one that I have been using and is the one that we're hearing from people what their experience is today. But the ultimate advancement, I think that quantum biofeedback, its time has really come for the reasons that I've talked about today, because it provides subtle shifts. It works with the alignment of the body. It works with innate intelligence. It has little or no side effects, and it puts the power squarely in your hands where it really belongs. Hello, Alberta. Thank you for being here. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, we don't want to do that. Okay. I don't know what it is I'm doing wrong here. Okay, what if you could test yourself, right? If every single day you could say, where is my energy around iodine? Where is my energy around feeling jealous or envious? Where is my energy around my thyroid? Where is my energy in relation to being more successful? Is there something, a belief system that I am holding that is blocking me? And what if you could instantly discover what those blockages are, and then with subtle movements, basically pushing a button, providing a song or a frequency to play for you, you could remove those obstacles. You could remove those blockages. Would you be interested? So that's what this is all about. And it really isn't about any of us making any claims. It really is about you being able to enjoy this, use it for 14 days for free, and coming to your own conclusions. We've always wanted people to make the discoveries for themselves, which is why in this summit we want to hear from other practitioners and what they're doing. I always have amazing experiences with my clients with biofeedback. One of the most amazing being how true the results are. With all of my knowledge of natural medicine, I'm continue to be astounded by how accurately the results match what's going on with my client. And it thrills me to no end, because often these things that come up are very much matching what I had suspected is going on with them anyway. And often it just adds to my knowledge base by providing me with additional information or things that I might have missed. So it's very, very exciting. We're being joined by Suzanne from Key West, Florida, and Gilbert, Arizona. Looking forward to hearing Ellen today. Wonderful. I'm so glad. And Ellen, you saved the day. So thanks to Ellen, because I sent the wrong link out to our guests, and I do hope that our guests have gotten the corrected link in their email. I guess we'll find out at the top of the hour. Oh, how technology is. Okay. So what if you could test yourself, and what if you could combine it in a way that works with your body's own innate intelligence? Of course, that's what we've been talking about. We're just going to make these very subtle movements. Just imagine a little tiny, oh, and then the person's better. They're healed from cancer. Oh, boop. They're healed from their fibromyalgia. Just a little, so oh, their chronic fatigue has been changed. Their chronic fatigue has been transformed. You guys, after working with this for 6 years, I suspect that is actually the real key to healing. It's such a subtle shift, and we have told the story on this planet over and over again that healing is very hard and only a few people are going to know how to do it, and it's going to take lots of time. But I think these are just stories. I think healing can happen in an instant. And biofeedback is a vehicle that gives you a way to do that by quickly showing you what the issue is and giving you something you can do to remove that blockage, to remove that little place where you're not moving the energy, and then the energy can move through and it's like, oh, I feel like myself again. This is wonderful. I know my clients report that they sleep better and they're thinking more clearly and they feel better after a session. And this is really exciting. It's something where people can feel a sense of hopefulness and a sense of optimism. So that is really, really exciting. Welcome from Iowa. Iowa's in the house. Thank you, Iowa. So good to hear you and or have you join us in the comments, because we are hearing you to a certain extent. And again, what I was talking about before, and I know some people have joined me throughout the hour, so this is catching you up. You missed all the boring stuff. Now you're here for the exciting stuff. And no, it was all really good stuff. What qualities should you be looking for in a healing technology? Because I believe that a true healing technology, one that gives you long-lasting healing, will have these particular qualities. They will be accessible to many, many people. It's not just for the rich and famous. It's not just for people who can afford a $100,000 treatment or whatever. It's inexpensive. You're able to understand it. It's not just for people with medical degrees. Everybody deserves to have an understanding of what can go wrong in their body and what can go right in their body, and have an ability to affect that change or anything in their lives, whether it's having more money or having better relationships or having the place that you really want to live and be happy. All of those things are accessible to you at all times. It's just that biofeedback gives you a sort of an in. It gives you a structured into that information so you can see it in a way that's digestible to you in sort of third dimensional time. So it's able to be easily used, and the genius takes a little bit of a learning curve, but it really is so easy, especially compared to some of the bioresonance tools of the past that really required a lot more training and a lot more expertise. Thanks everybody who's joining us. If you're just joining us, please like, love, and share this page. At the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by Silky Polivka from Germany. At least I pray to God that we are. And then, but don't worry, we can actually do some cases and things. We'll improvise if everything doesn't come perfectly. But thank you. Please share this with people on Facebook so we can get the biggest crowd possible here today. Okay. So I think that you should be able to use these frequencies at home. I think it's for people that you want to share with us, or I think everybody should be able to heal from the comfort of their home. They should be able to administer this to their families and to their friends. In other words, it shouldn't just be have to go to the doctor's office and pay a very high price, and then you have to travel a long distance perhaps, and then you have to wait for a long time in the waiting room, and then you go into the little waiting room where you wait for a longer amount of time, and it's very impractical if you think about it. Whereas being able to find out what you need in just a few seconds is much more practical. It probably, if you think about biofeedback, could solve a lot of the cost problems that we're having, unfortunately, in our system today. So that's something to really think about, isn't it? So one energy medicine technology, I have found quantum biofeedback to be extremely valuable. This is because these systems are a reflection of the truth. They reflect the inner self. You're really asking universal consciousness for the answers when you use a biofeedback tool. That's really what this is all about. And if we can ask universal consciousness, like similar to a muscle test, and get an answer instantaneously, why aren't we doing that? Doesn't that just make sense? And when I, even as being a naturopath for a decade, found out when I first got turned on to the quantum biofeedback, I was like, thank goodness the world has finally caught up to like where the tools and technologies that I really want to be using. This is something that's so thrilling, so exciting, where you can get instantaneous answers, where you can affect a change, where you can affect a subtle change that doesn't have any side effects. And again, it's not just health. We're not making any claims. We're not claiming to do anything. We're not claiming to cure anything. This is, has all of those types of disclaimers on it. But, you know that expression, nothing here is true, but it's actually the way that it is. But you may notice, if you use this, that all of your ailments may go away, that you feel a lot happier, that you're a lot more in touch with your own vital force, that you're able to manifest wellness, you're able to manifest success, you're able to manifest abundance, because quantum biofeedback, especially in the form that we have it in with the Genius, is an oracle. It's really just, you hold it in your hands and it's like, what do you want to create today? And we know from the customized panels and everything within the Genius, it's your energy, right, sort of shining through that technology, and in order to make your life better, in order to increase your feeling and the actual expression of your own empowerment. And so that's what this is all about. It actually makes it such a thrilling time to be alive. So these are tools of personal introspection. They're truth revealers. You can test the emotions panel in seconds and just have this experience like, oh, I guess I was holding on to some anger. And isn't it wonderful just to be able to realize that within yourself? You don't have to have somebody confronting you, but you can have that very real experience that, yes, maybe I was holding on to some anger, and maybe that this is something that I do need to deal with or address. And so even just in self-awareness, let me see if I can just close this door here. Even just in self-awareness, you are healing. Awareness and information is part of the healing process. Don't you notice that when you go to the doctor? It's like we have this inherent nature, like, what is wrong with me? What is the diagnosis? What does it all mean? It's all information. And so we are deeply thirsty for information, and biofeedback gives us endless information. All we need to do is just ask the questions and figure out what the questions are, and we instantly get the answers. So it's really exciting, because often people feel frustrated in medicine because they can't get the answers. But it can also be about an emotional blockage. I mean, often we are blocked for seeing things that are true about ourselves. So this helps to remove that blockage. Okay. Well, we are just about ready to get started with our first guest. So I am just so excited. I want to welcome again everyone who is joining us around the world today for the Energy Medicine Summit. Like I said, today we're going to be joined by our guests, and we're going to hear their experience of this amazing type of technology. So without any further ado, I want to tell you again, we're going to be talking about quantum biofeedback. And before I introduce Silky, let me just go through a couple of things about biofeedback, and then she can tell me if I got it right or wrong. Quantum biofeedback in the form of the Genius, you should expect it to reduce places where you have stress in your field. And that's really the only claim that we make, that helps to reduce these areas of stress. And you should expect it to free up that energy. So this form of biofeedback works in alignment or in concert or partnership with your own innate intelligence. Quantum biofeedback has usefulness that goes far beyond health, and it is a vehicle for manifesting. So if you're interested in creating something positive in your life, quantum biofeedback is for you. It is a vehicle for you achieving that abundance, that health, that wellness, those harmonious relationships. It's really what is on the menu for you today to create that. Remember, you can use quantum biofeedback for relationships, for optimizing wellness, for whatever it is you want to create in your own life. And as such, it's an incredibly optimistic tool in a time when we often feel like a victim. And remember that one of the most important things about biofeedback is the lack of side effects. In medicine, we ask, or we have to take an oath where we say, first, we will do no harm. And I believe that energy medicine technologies have the potential to do the least amount of harm. So biofeedback can be used for daily affirmations. Which is the affirmation that applies most to you? How about success manifestation? Are you interested in manifesting more success in your life? How about, clearing the energy of your food if you think it might have toxins and so forth, or there might be something about it you want to clear the energy of it. How about clearing your home, wealth, manifesting wealth, optimizing wellness, clearing blockages? All of these things can be achieved with biofeedback, and that's why it's so exciting. It's not just for health, it's for creating changes of energy in the world around you in the way that you were meant to. You were always meant to use these wonderful powers. So right now, we're going to, with that introduction to what energy medicine really should be at its highest level and what quantum biofeedback is, we're now going to hear from our users and practitioners of the field of biofeedback, which in this expression is through the Genius Insight. To download the Genius Insight 14-day trial, go to my website, awakentotalhealth.com. It's being shown right here on the screen now. If you go there, you can download the 14-day trial and you can get started with biofeedback. So again, without any further ado, I want to bring in my first guest. She is a longtime quantum biofeedback practitioner. She's been in practice for nearly 20 years, and she can give us some of the best perspective on the history and the progress and the evolution of biofeedback. She is a naturopathic doctor from Germany, an ND. She holds a diploma of holistic energetic medicine from the University of Malta. Has a naturopathic degree and a degree in psychotherapy. So she is so talented and so smart and so brilliant, and I'm so grateful that she's able to join us. So let's introduce Silky Polivka to our Energy Medicine Summit.
Hello?
Hello, my dear Silky.
You hear me?
I can hear you so clearly. How are you?
Hi, Ariel. I am really, really great. I am wonderful and everything is super. And I just listened to the last words, what you said. I might be super experienced, but I had a long journey to finally come to that point where you are now. So
tell us all about, yes, please tell us about your wonderful journey, and especially how did you come to the world of biofeedback?
By coincidence.
Those happy coincidences, I love them.
Yeah, that is the story with the coincidences. Actually, when I finished my school, I wanted to study medicine. I mean, really medicine. But at that time, it wasn't possible to do that. So I started with studying law. So I am a lawyer, so be careful what you say. But later on, working in this field, I figured out, that's not what I really want to do. I really want to move more into, relationship things and business with people and healing. And then that was my onset on my long, long journey, finally ending up in bioresonance, biofeedback, and all these things. And it took me, like what you said, like 20 years to arrive where I am now. So all those people who are listening to us here, hello from Germany. It's cold here. It's dark. We have 8 o'clock in the evening, but you see, I have my jacket on because I am a little freezing. And I would love to tell you, you are on the perfect right spot where you are now. Please go on from there, because what you do now is much more less hassle than what I had to go through those years. So said that, Ariel asked me to really start to tell you a little about the development of energetic medicine. And guess what? This energetic medicine started, thousands years ago from today. It actually started around before Christ, 3,000 years ago from now. And at that time, definitely.
Silky, I want to hear all about it. Is there any way you can get a little closer to your computer? Some people are commenting that your sound, they're like so thirsty to hear all the lovely things that you're saying, but your sound is a little bit low.
Is that better now?
Much better, yeah.
Maybe I just put my volume up. So maybe
that's helping. That's helping, yeah. That's helping.
Is that better?
I think it's better, yeah.
So just one note, yesterday we did this little trial and I never did this live video thing before in my life. It really stressed me. So I ended up with having like a very tight, painful back. And then I really used this wonderful technology to get the tightening away. And now I'm sitting here, can do the summit, and I'm fine. Pain is gone. So it's like this emotional blockage, what you have. I don't sit here and do that with a video.
Yay, thank you so much.
But everyone can hear me now? Everything is okay?
Yes, much better. Very good.
Excellent.
Yes.
So back to that, what I wanted to tell you. So these long years ago, there was actually no medicine in our nowadays definition or diagnostic methods, what we have now. And definitely they had no device medicine. So at those times we had healers, we had shamans, we had seers, we had witches and medicine men and women. We still today have some witches and one of those here. And but you know, these people, they knew about the secrets of diseases. I would like to say it in these words. But they didn't look at a disease not only as a physical problem, being you have a, I don't know, broken leg or anything, but they included always the influences of gods, of ghosts, of ancestors, of stars, and all these things, all energetic influences. And in that times, healing really happened holistically. Body, mind, spirit, all in harmony with nature, with natural products, rituals, special nutrition, and with help of all the energies that the healers really held in themselves, in their own energy field, and they were able really to transfer this to their, well, patients or clients or people around themselves. And there is a legend from the Chinese country how acupuncture actually was developed. And they say it was a soldier who was slightly wounded by a little arrow. And subsequently, he realized that not only his wound healed after a while, but also completely different other organic diseases he suffered before also disappeared. This is the mythology that they really thought, obviously, the point where this little arrow hit his body had an influence on the rest of the body. That's the story. I don't
Observation,
know
the power of observation, though.
but you know, this is 3,000 years ago. I wasn't there. I can't ask you. I like actually this story, but I think it has a lot. I think a lot of wisdom in this one, and I think a lot of truth in it. Meanwhile, we know for sure that the history of acupuncture started way ahead of our time area, and with excavation they found stone and bone needles around 3,000 years before Christ. And so this is why they suspected that even at those long time before, they started to use these needles and prick them somewhere in the body to activate energetic healings or something like this. So the acupuncture itself is part of the Chinese holistic concept of health and disease, and it is very, very tight connected with the philosophy and the culture of China itself. And over the years, this developed into a very comprehensive, all aspects, including science, which they call TCM, Traditional Chinese Medicine. And the TCM searches with the help of acupuncture for superior disturbed regulatory principles, which could be the reason and the root for several disease symptoms. This is why they really try to find out what is the root cause. And when we bring this back into regulation, then we will be able to manage the rest of that disease.
Silky, this is awesome. The closer you are to the computer, the better we can hear you, just so you know that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So as I don't know, do the people also see the screen what I see now, that you have the meridians and your genius on?
Yes, but I can take it off screen. I was just wanted to make sure we were able to access that if we wanted to show it at all.
Okay, because this is what we now have really on a fingertip, to have the meridians and the acupoints really on the little genius device, which is so easy now to check these things and work on them. And you will see when I come up a little later here in my text what hassle it really was to work at those times to figure out what was wrong on the meridians, yes or no. So acupuncture points are located on the meridians, and the meridians are energy ways, which are unfortunately not really approved scientifically. I mean, scientifically in the words of double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled studies. Yeah, you know that. Because they are not really vessels and they are not really fibers. And I remember there were stories about when people were in the hospital and they were talking about the meridians, and they had the dead people over there, and they really started to dissect them and cut them and open them, and they were looking for the meridians. And guess what? No meridian was ever found, because it's just an energy way. It is not any fiber or any material in that way, right?
Yes, actually, that's an amazing, when you think about it, the Chinese knew all about health. The Westerners came in, looked, show me the things that can be seen. And yet the most important things were the meridians, which could not be seen. I mean, it's such an important point about all of this.
Yeah. But you know, what we cannot see and weigh and measure, it's not existing. Very simple.
That was the idea. Yeah, that was the idea. It's such an important point.
Yeah. And these meridians, they can be stimulated or sedated with special acupuncture needles in gold or in silver. When you touch special points on those meridians, and with the meridians, you then finally reach the organs or organ systems which are connected or hanging on these specific meridians. Okay. And up to the 19th century, the TCM was the high art of acupuncture as part of the Chinese culture, developed constantly forward without any outer influence. So the Chinese people, they were sitting there far away and out of every other contact. And so they just moved on with their knowledge and their technologies, what they had on hand, with knowing all these different meridians. Up to now, we do not know how they figured out where exactly the meridians ran in the body. But interesting wise, there was a guy, Professor Heine from the University of Witten-Herdecke in Germany. He was the first one who figured out the morphological correlate of an acupuncture point. So he checked different tissues there, and he could find that exactly the area where you have this acupuncture points, that the morphology of the tissue is different. And then there was I think it was a study sort of taken when they injected like radioactive material into an acupuncture point, and then they put the client in front of an X-ray, and in the X-ray they could precisely see, because the radioactive material was carried along the meridian, and they were just being shocked and said, "Huh? What is that?"
See, they could see the energy moving in this way that they measured. That is incredible. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did this, but still they are thinking, it's not working. And even like in Germany, and we are sort of advanced in energetic medicine, acupuncture is only paid in cases of pain management. The other things are not really accepted or something like this one.
So you, in Germany, they really don't pay very much for acupuncture at all?
The health insurance, well, we have...
Yeah, the insurance, yeah. That's interesting.
So the health insurances only pay for acupuncture if there is a pain issue going on. So everything related with pain is paid as acupuncture. The other acupuncture treatments, the client has to pay themselves for.
Interesting. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So with the acupuncture, the problem with the acupuncture is it is very, very complicated to learn. We have so many thousand points, and it really takes ages to really be super on it. And on the other hand, there are many clients who hate needles, myself included. So therefore, when I learned all these things, I finally decided, maybe this is not the real deal I want to go for. So I was looking at the next option. And this is what the next development was like 200 years ago in 1796. It was the development or the birth of the homeopathy. So
Hahnemann.
Dr. Med Samuel Hahnemann, that is the correct spelling and pronunciation. I heard it very much different over the times. He was a medical doctor, he is a chemist and a pharmacist, and he formulated the principle similia similibus curentur, meaning cure like with like. That was his idea. So as an example, if you cut onions, you start tearing, right? You have burning eyes and tears are running. And so his idea was, if someone has a medical issue with tearing eyes and itching eyes and burning eyes, probably if he takes onion in a homeopatized form, maybe this thing goes away. And he was super right with this. So he made then his own experiment with quinine, this malaria medication, which he just took because it was a piece of bark, and he just took it, and then he experienced all the symptoms which you have when you develop malaria. So that was the onset. He did tons and tons of researches and looking for the similar principle. And he was looking for substances, plant-based, animal-based, mineral-based, chemical-based, all that what he had at that time, and gave it to all his, guinea pigs. And they were all healthy, actually, when they started. And then they had to take this, and then they were sitting in a big Audimax, in a big schoolroom, and then they had papers in front of them, and then they had to really write down precisely what happened. I got vomiting, I have headache, I have hot flashes, I get anxiety, I get pimples, whatsoever. And he was really very acribic, writing up every tiny little thing what happened in the clients. And then the way of evaluation was those symptoms which were coming up in everyone, they were on on the list number one, and
Sure.
so on. And he all put them together in what we call the materia medica. And this materia medica is a huge big book with all different remedies and all symptoms which have come up over the years on all three levels: body, mind, spirit. Same as what you have in your little wonderful handheld device. Studying homeopathy was, really something challenging, because it is, materia medica is not only thick.
It's big.
It's very, very big, and really learning all the different symptoms on body, mind, spirit, and all how important the different symptoms are, if it is not as important or medium important. The patients don't even know exactly if it's not. And if you start asking them, they just say, I don't know exactly what you mean.
I know exactly what you mean. I studied 2 years of classical homeopathy in naturopathic college, and unfortunately, it's so difficult to really practice in today's world from a practical perspective. But it's fascinating. You think of all of those souls who did those provings, Silky. Talk about volunteers. That's amazing.
I'd rather say guinea pigs, really. they do not really know if they do it really with their free will. They don't know what they are expecting. So, by the way, we always were asking, why is this homeopathy working? So the idea is really that by giving like one of those remedies, which would cause the symptoms in a healthy person, if you give exactly this remedy to someone who has this symptoms as a sick person, it obviously is like if you increase the symptomatic or the intensity of the disease in the body, and the body then starts reacting on that and saying, oh my God, my situation is even worse than I thought. And now
Because it intensifies, yes.
speeding up his healing processes and getting his self-healing abilities activated and getting all things in order now. So activates massively self-healing abilities. But the other thing was when Hahnemann worked with all these things, he figured out that in many cases when he gave like he had the mother tincture. He had nothing like mother tincture. And you experience homeopath.
Sure, arnica. I mean, everybody's had arnica, yeah.
You probably experience when you give mother tincture, hey, you might cause symptoms and you might cause aggravation of whatever is there. And Hahnemann then thought, oh, wow, before we really get this aggravation going on before healing, maybe we can avoid that. And this was the idea why he started to dilute these things, the substances he gave. And he started to do it in a very specific way. So in the ratio of 1 to 100. So this is how he took mother tincture and 100 drops of alcohol. And then he started to succuss these things and so on. And this is the way how he started to make these potencies. So 1 drop of, just as an example, 1 drop of mother tincture and 100 drops of alcohol, give succussed, give a, what is your 100? Like a C?
100C or 10, no, 10C or something. It's weak, right?
It's a 1C.
1C.
1 drop,
1C, yeah, 1 for 100, yeah.
Then you take 1 drop of this 1C, add 100 drops of alcohol, succuss it, and this is a 2C. And then you take 1 drop of the 2C plus 100 of this, succuss it, and then it's a 3C. So this is a very interesting way how he did it, and he figured out, interesting wise, the higher the dilution was, the less mother tincture really was in it, the higher the effect was. That was like a very astonishing thing, and this is why he finally called this dilution system potentiation, coming from potentia, which means power. So the more diluted, the higher the effect is. I studied this also, but as I would say, same as you, I figured out it's a very, 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 very long and intense learning. Lots of trial and errors, more errors than trials. It's complicated because you always have to look on the remedies for the body, mind, spirit aspect. And then when you finally got something, you have to look at the potencies, which also makes a huge difference in the healing itself. Finally, it requires a huge apotheker of remedies which you have in your household. Then you need to have hundreds and hundreds of pieces in all potencies to really figure out what is really needed. And the final point, which I think is one of our nowadays most problematic things in homeopathy, is that 200 years ago, Hahnemann made all these things with those things which were at that time present: plants, animals, chemicals, minerals, etc., in a pure way, like the nature was at that time 200 years ago. Nowadays, when we come up with diseases, we have not the same toxic loads as the people 200 years ago had themselves. The homeopathies you make nowadays have different
resonances.
has different ingredients as they had at that time. You know, when we take nowadays a plant, it might have GMOs in it. You know, it might have, I don't know, environmental toxins on it. So all these things don't work nowadays the same way as they really worked like 200 years ago, or maybe like 50 years ago. And even at that time, Hahnemann didn't know anything about HIV or obstructive bronchitis or, you know, autoimmune diseases. This was nothing what was present at his time. So probably he did not really cover everything what we need nowadays. And this was one of the reasons why I finally said, okay, homeopathy is not only the thing what I should massively focus on, because it is too complicated. But then in the 50s, like 1950, there was a guy called Dr. Reinhard Voll. It is Voll and not Voll.
So it's full.
Yes, superbly. So Dr. Reinhard Voll, he was highly interested in homeopathy and specifically like in the TCM, but he thought TCM is pretty much complicated for a Western mind to understand. So he tries to find a way to simplify the acupuncture, and he built a device which allowed to measure the resistance and the conductance of an acupuncture point. Because this was one of the problems in the Chinese, in the TCM. The people needed always to figure out if my acupuncture point or my corresponding meridian is yin or yang. So yang meaning there is too much energy on this meridian, meaning we have an acute situation, or we have a yin situation, meaning there is too little energy on this meridian, and we have more a chronic situation. The Chinese, they were pretty smart to figure that out with a tongue diagnostic and pulse diagnostic and all these things. We Westerns, we were not so savvy to get that really done. So he finally had this device, and you could measure exactly. You had this point probe going on the point, and on the point you could really measure if you have like a way above 50, which was an acute situation, or on the scale below 50, it was more a chronic situation. This was pretty cool. And then he also figured out the value of this conductance on the points is varying depending on the situation of the disease or whatever what the patient was going through. So he could really monitor like the course of a disease by just measuring the voltage, the conductance on that point. So he knew if it is more an acute or if it's going to more chronic and so on. So that was pretty nice. And by constantly measuring thousands of points, he got a great insight into the physiological interaction and dependencies of the inner organs among themselves, because they influence each other. They are not just standing alone. So as we know with the meridians, we have several organs going together, and then if you look for the 5 elements, they are entwined with each other. So what you do on the one side has an effect on the other end. So his research and the systemization of these relations have been very crucial in understanding a multitude of chronic diseases. And he also found profound insights into the interaction of the teeth and the other organs or organ systems of the body. So we say on each tooth there is a hanging at least one organ, and they interact with each other. So just an example, if you have like, you know, the middle teeth here, the front teeth, we call them number 1. You have a different counting, I know. They belong to the bladder. So you have, if you go to your dentist and they check your frontal teeth because you have pain over there or caries all of a sudden, and they treat this tooth, it can be that nothing happens, that you continue having this pain there, because the reason is the corresponding organ to the number 1 teeth here, the bladder.
So do you treat the bladder or do you treat the tooth?
you have first to figure out who is the culprit and who is the victim. But
that's a good answer.
Yeah, I am smart. No, but in order to do this, you actually have to disconnect these two energy, these two energy fields.
Interesting.
And then you can measure the tooth. And if the tooth is then okay, then probably it was the bladder who influenced the tooth, or vice versa.
So they have to be separated from each other first.
Yes. So
that's interesting.
What we do, like in bioresonance, just to let you all know, we just take the information. I will talk about bioresonance and working with the body's own oscillation in a second. So we take the energy from the tooth, we pick that up and send it inverted. I will talk about this in a second, to the bladder. And from the bladder inverted to the tooth. And this is disconnecting this relationship between the two who constantly influence each other. Yeah, so this is one of those tricky ones which they figured out with all this bioresonance stuff. And so
that's really cool, though. That's very, very great. Yeah.
So, and this lovely Mr. Voll, after having developed this resistance conductance device, and he hated needles. Even he then was able to measure if he needed like a gold needle or a silver needle for activation or sedation. He said, oh my God, can't we have something instead of pricking the needle in my body? And so he had this idea, maybe we just find a electrical device to stimulate or sedate the points without pricking any needle in, with the help of a directed electrical impulse, which is called wagging. I just looked that up. It's an English word. In Germany, the name is Kippschwingung. But this is what he now could do. So when he measured his point and said, okay, this point is too high, it's young, I need to sedate it, he just put the point probe on this point, used this wagging thing for sedating, and the point was sedated without pricking any needle in. Very cool.
It was a true advancement. That's amazing when you think about it.
Cool. So the next question for me was, do I love EAV, electroacupuncture following Voll? Yes, I like it, but hard to learn again. And having not only hard to learn, but it has a lot of vague problems there, which you cannot really completely be sure if you measure correct or not. So you have the point probe and you have to go on your point and measure the resistance or the conductance on these points. But the value depends on the angle you put the point probe on. It depends on the humidity on the skin. It depends on the pressure you put on the point. So you get a lot of different measurements, and you cannot really precisely say, oh, is that really that what is the real measurement on the point, or is it that what I wanted to get?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we test it without even having any cable in the machine and got values. Yep, this is how much your own field can interfere with these things. But Voll was a very, very active man, and he really wanted to bring these things forward because he figured meanwhile out, wow, there is so much which we can do just energetically via the meridian acupuncture points. And actually he then discovered, and now again, coincidence really, the resonance test. So it happened that he was doing lots of seminars to introduce this technology to his colleagues, his medical colleagues, and he always had a friend of him sitting on stage. He is a heart patient and he needed heart medication all the time, but it was perfect to measure him on his heart points and to see for everyone in the audience, wow, these values are really, really, really bad. And then he took his other little device and sedated or activated the point, and then, ta-da, values were great. So he loved this guy. And one day it was super cold outside, and this gentleman came to the stage with his jacket on. So he measured, all values normal. He measured again, all values normal. So he was a little frustrated, so he sent him back to the room. This never ever happened before. He did some other in between, and in the afternoon he called him again. Meanwhile, the room was heated up. He left his jacket, came to stage without his jacket, measurement, bad heart values. Activation, everything was fine. But then the question still was, why? It did not work this morning. The only difference was he had a jacket on, or he had no jacket on, but this couldn't be like the reason. After long discussions, they finally found the solution for this puzzle. The patient, being a heart patient, had to take like homeopathic remedies for his heart thing. So he had his medication in his jacket while he was on stage. This is why when then he said, wait a minute, if he's just having his medication, the little globules, milk sugar globules, in his jacket, which he is wearing, and I measure the point, and the point is okay, the meridian is okay, just because he has these things close to his body, wait a minute, what does this mean? And that was the onset of this resonance test, because he said just the presence of a homeopathic remedy close to the body had an effect on the electrical situation of the acupoint and the meridian. Incredible. And he then repeated this with lots of other clients, with holding medication in the hand or having them on the table, all these different settings, what you could do. But it showed in all cases the homeopathic remedy not only shows effect when taken orally, but the pure presence of the energetic oscillation pattern of the remedy is sufficient to cause a reaction in the organism.
Incredible.
And this, of course, that was really then the birth of the resonance test, because with this technology, he was now able to check prior to oral application if a remedy was effective or not, or if a substance which you wanted to implement in the body was disturbing the system or was okay with the system. And that was actually the birth time for all our biological working dentists, when they now check like anesthesia before, they check the denture material, implants,
the composites, the adhesives.
Because now they could do this all prior to making all this expensive stuff and just say, okay, this glue is great and this compound is not good, this compound is great. And so this was a huge market for the dentist using EAV, and they really loved it, and they still love it massively, because you can really check prior to everything else if it is working or not, because it is resonance. Same what you do with the Genius. We looking for resonance patterns. In what is that what the patient goes in resonance with, meaning harmony. I am in harmony with this one, or I don't like that part. No? Not for me today. So this resonance test was then taken over from the bioresonance therapy. BRT is the abbreviation. This was in 1977, and this was the company I worked for many years. I did international seminars with this company, and the bioresonance is the biophysical information or multi-resonance therapy. And it was introduced from Dr. Franz Morell and his son-in-law Erich Rasche. So the idea was, they said, when Voll is able, electrodes which we placed on the body where we had issues there, so the oscillations were sent in this BCOM or MORA device, and they were modified over there, and then they were sent back to the client. And now we have a little difference between homeopathy, where we say like cures like, bioresonance with using the patient's own oscillation, meaning identic cures identic. Because if I pick up the oscillation of your liver, your individual Ariel liver, I take this one, send it to the device, modify the oscillation there, and send it back to you. The body recognizes this signal because it is your own signal. And then
Yes.
the body takes it straight away and says, yep, I know that. Uses it, and then you're fine. That is the difference between homeopathy or this EAV, what they did before. It's a really matching signal. And the next step, which was the very important part, is like this inverse mode, what they did with the bioresonance. So they said, okay, if I have a pathological situation, let's say I have a liver inflammation, I don't want to pick up the oscillation of the inflamed liver and send it back to the client. No. For healing impulse, I would need to pick up the inflammation liver oscillation, and then I invert this, sort of like put a mirror signal in, like if I have +4 and -4, if you put these two together, it goes out to 0. That was the idea what we have with the bioresonance. I have a pathological signal, and I add exactly this one, but inverted as a mirror picture. This will reduce the pathological situation on that organ until we finally come to 0.
So this is the bioresonance of today that we
This is
find.
bioresonance of today. This is what we use for allergy treatment, to take the allergen, send it with an inverse signal in the body to sort of zero it out. Okay? Or you have an infected tooth, you take the signal from the pus or whatever, invert it, send it back, so that the body gets the signal, hey, I have to first reduce this information, and on top I have to bring it out, I have to detox all these things. Yeah. So with toxic pathological things, we use the inverted mode, and with positive things, good things, we use the harmonic mode, where we just bring these things like Bach flowers, minerals, vitamins, or whatever. We bring these positive things amplified in the body, and the body takes them when the resonance is okay, and then can work with these things.
Excellent.
Problem with bioresonance is you need millions of test kits with all different test ampules, which you have to check on the client if they work, and if you send it to them, you need to be very perfect in one test method. You need to rather do EAV or kinesiology, or you need to do dowsing or RIC, or I don't know, whatever you call it. You need to be super perfect in that, and if not, you don't get correct results in this. And unfortunately, whenever you are involved in the test method itself, you have your own energetic situation, which you often resonate with the client. You have a special idea what the client might have, and then you come to a wrong diagnosis. Or you have some expectations what should happen, and then you diagnose with this. So having a device like the Genius really brings you out of this stressful situation, that you are involved in the field of the client himself, which you actually do not want to work with. Yeah, the next step was then in 1990 and the following years. That was then the really the development of what we nowadays call like biofeedback devices.
Yes.
So I would say the grandmother of the Genius was the QXCI or the SKIO or the Life System. That is really
Yes.
grandmother.
Yes.
I still work with my grandmother. If I really do, I mean, very deep, thorough research on a client, really massive research. But having this little hand thing there now, I use it actually in tandem with my client. With whatever I do, I use this one and balance quickly the chakra and the emotion or Bach flowers or anything like with this, or do a quick check, where do we need to go? And then with my grandmother machine, I go then really to the deep down course roots and see what is really still hidden there, where I can then work on these things.
Sure,
So
sure.
the idea of this grandmother device was that to create a device which unites all energetic therapy forms which are available on this planet in one little device. So, and then you don't need the test kits anymore. You don't need to have any test method anymore, because the device is just testing automatically resonance test, sending the signals in and checking if there is resonance on the signals, which are stored like in a big database. Exactly what the genius has. You use the voice and you use the picture as resonance reference points. In the grandmother device, we use like the patient data, and we have like the head harness to pick up really electrical oscillation there and see how this will react. So this technology, what I like on this technology, the biofeedback technology, is that it really interacts with the client. And it really, you are out. You as a therapist are out. You're just like eventually the button pusher or the device holder. But the rest is actually the client. What makes sense in that? So the only disadvantage of my grandmother machine, even it is the newest technology, which is brand new now on the market with the newest software, it still has disadvantages. First, it is super, super, super expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So 20,000 euro in comparison to this wonderful genius is an argue, I would say. Even you can
Yeah.
do a little more with that, but if you are not really running a very deep in thorough practice, hey, don't invest that money in that device. It is not only that you have to carry this big box, plus your big laptop, plus the electrodes and everything. You need always electricity and you need always all that stuff. So this little thing is so much more handy. By the way, do you know what handy is? The German word for, we have in Germany a word, this is handy. And the handy is a mobile.
The handy is your mobile phone.
Yes, and I came into America and I said the first, can you please lend me your handy? And they what? I mean, your handy. What is that? So
I love it. You're handy. I love it.
Yeah, so we don't say mobile, we say handy. Officially. So, and last number, it requires lots and lots and lots of, I mean, really seminars and really deep, massive working with this technology. This is nothing for someone who just wants to, as what you said just before we started, to balance themselves, to get an idea, to empower yourself, to get wellness and well-feeling and, you know, all these wonderful little things which you can do, I mean, in seconds on the genius. This one is something, if you really have someone coming in and say, okay, I'm a cancer patient or whatever, and I have to work on tons of different levels, then this would be an option, but quicker is what you have. So, and the funny thing is, since I told you this was a journey. So after getting all through these things, I always thought about something small, you know, I'm not schlepping all this stuff around. And to have it, because then I had meanwhile my iPhone and I had heard about apps and so on. And so I thought maybe there is a chance to make something like this with an app. And then I met Ryan. I know him for many years. And so I met him I think in Santa Barbara, and said, Ryan, I have an amazing idea. We can make this thing in an app. what do you think? And then he looked at me and said, baby, I already made it. So I had to cancel my wonderful idea because he already had that stuff. And this was like the first, again, the grandmother of the genie. I forgot the name, what it was. That was when I started with this thing, and I thought this was just super, super cool. And I gave it to him and said, okay, it's your baby. You do this app thing, and I just stand behind and I just use it. So that was like my little journey around energetic medicine.
Incredible. I mean, I love that you gave us the full, true history going way back to the beginning of energetic medicine. And I think it's really helpful to give us all perspective. And you explained it all so well. Thank you.
Yeah, and I remember you said yesterday that eventually the one or the other would like to hear some cases, which I had some interest, which I used actually like my grandmother and the genius together with. And they are just a few little short cases, which I just want to share because I think they really show the powerfulness of biofeedback of these devices, and that you really just have to open your mind and just say it's not like school medicine, and if you have a diagnosis, that's it, and then you die or whatever. It's really so much more, and like the genius working on really body, mind, spirit, plus all the libraries, whatever you. Thank you, Ariel. Thank you. What you developed. If I wouldn't have met you before, first of all, I wouldn't be here. Secondly, I wouldn't have all that amazing knowledge what you are really constantly bringing to the people. So my biggest thank you as a teacher to a teacher. And I just say kudos for that, what you are doing, my dearest.
You're very gracious, but people are thanking you profusely too, my dear, because they love the history that you just presented for them. It's what we really needed, was to understand where this has all come from. But thank you so much.
No, it's all the truth. It's not even fishing for compliments. It's just the truth. So
yes,
a few more minutes just to get
yes, please, yes,
some funny cases.
Yes, we'd love that.
I had a woman, age 55. She came in with an acute pollinosis to birch pollen. That's what she told me. We couldn't treat that because I haven't had the original birch pollen there. And then I was thinking, okay, since we don't have the original ones there, which we need for bioresonance, I take one of my lovely, wonderful devices there and just run a test. No birch pollen showed up. But guess what? What showed up? Emotion. And you know what? An emotion showed up massively: sexuality and lust.
Whoa.
And I was looking at these emotions and I thought, what the heck is that? That must be wrong. Or I had, what the therapist is thinking or expecting. Please don't do that. Just take it as it is. It went in resonance with this client. So
nothing like telling the client sexuality and lust is coming up for you instead of the allergy.
That's what I said. First of all, I started very smooth. I said, are you really sure you're allergic to birch pollen, or are you allergic to someone else? Because what come up was sexuality and lust. And she exploded and said, my husband, he doesn't sleep with me anymore, and I am sitting here, and he only looks for younger women, and da 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 da. I said, oh, what is that? So I just treated with the device here with Genius. I just treated the emotions, and I think I had a Bach flower for that. And I sent her home, and we had made like an appointment for the next week to bring the original birch pollen to do the treatment. Then next morning she called me and she said, I need to cancel my appointment because all allergy is gone. I said, huh? What? She was thinking on the way home about these things. And then she saw her husband in the garden when she arrived there. She just jumped on him and said, okay, so you either now come with me and sleep with me and tell me that I'm the most wonderful woman ever, or I leave you. He was so shocked by this. Took her, well, the rest is history. So they are like this. That was an incredible healing.
Yeah, it's amazing but knowledge. It was the information that sparked the discussion,
Exactly.
and that provided the conduit to the healing. I mean, I think I see that in biofeedback every day. That is a wonderful case story of healing. That's hilarious, really.
Yeah. Then I had a boy, 6 months old. He came with the typical child's eczema on the elbow inside here and on the knees inside, which we know milk
Very
allergy.
common.
So I started to do milk, nothing. I had it on the device, and what came up was carrot. And then I said, hey, this little guy didn't ever eat carrot. He's 6 months old. And then the mother said, you know what? During the whole pregnancy, I took carrot juice every day, like 1 liter, because I wanted to be the baby brown after coming out. I
I
said,
wanted to be what?
brown color, tainted,
Oh, gotcha.
tanned. And then I said, you mean you drank carrot juice all the time to have a nice tanned baby? Yes, that's what she read. And she was still drinking that while she was breastfeeding, and he was reacting on carrots. So no milk allergy, carrots. So, and the last one, which I probably mentioned before, this 80-year-old woman. She was coming in suspecting for liver cirrhosis on June this year. And she had the lab values: cholesterol 98. The GOT was 82, and the gamma GT was 348. It is supposed to be 40. So we did organ. Then I checked the emotional side. Guess what? Anger issues. I put her on the Cosmogy liquid, which is the thing which does the intracellular deacidification, neutralizing acids which are already sitting inside the cell. So she was on this. I had emotion treated with a Genius this time, really, because I just had it back and functioning. And we did like meridians, the liver meridian, and I think I did some Bach flowers for her. That was actually all, and the Cosmogy liquid. That was all what we did. And then she came in. I did chakras also, I see. So she came in after 6 weeks. The cholesterol was from 398 to 275, and the gamma GT was on 251 from 348.
Wow.
And September 12th, that was the last time that she was in here, because then I was in the US. September 12th, she had the cholesterol on 198, starting from 398. And the gamma GT went down to 86.
That's incredible. Now, did she change anything in her lifestyle, or everything was the same?
Oh, what I did is I told her, because liver needs these wonderful hot, damp liver wraps. I think I mentioned that to you.
Yes, you did.
So, and what I told her is, because she was hyperacidic, so the taste of the Cosmogy liquid was, fishy like fishy. So she took like half of this little cup on a gauze, put this under the hot, wet little towel, and just wrapped a big towel around her back every day. That's the effect. She didn't get any remedy. She didn't get any medication, nothing. And we worked emotionally on the liver with Bach flowers and chakras and meridians.
That's extraordinary. So the Cosmogy liquid that Silky is talking about, I am going to be giving classes on this Cosmogy coming up in 2019. So stay tuned. It's a wonderful way to correct the acidity in your body. And the reason I found it to be so important is the breakthrough that Silky is having with her clients with this intervention. So stay tuned for that. And that will allow people to accept the energies in a much more powerful way.
Exactly. Because what I figured out, as long as your cells are blocked and closed, they cannot get information in, they cannot communicate with each other, besides that they are unable to take really oxygen or nutrients in. That is the
Mm-hmm.
reason why this combination would work so perfectly.
I love it. Absolutely amazing. So, Silky, you did an incredible presentation. Thank you I mean, it was just so thorough, way more than I expected.
Well, you told me what I had to do, so this is what I do. I'm German.
Oh, it was wonderful, and it was really important for people to have that perspective. And anything that you want to tell us about in closing, sort of final thoughts?
My final thoughts are, I learned in America, you never say ladies and gentlemen, you say, hey guys.
That's so
hey
true.
guys out there, wherever you are sitting and listening to this, you know, first of all, the genius is honestly, from all devices what I have, the cheapest. Buy it, take it, do it. Take the free trial. You won't get it with any other device on the market.
That's true.
You have the best teacher you can even think of.
You're very kind.
And I am really a little bit older than probably you are. And with this little handheld thing, you can do so many things. And it's, you know, it's all about energy. It's all about energy. We are energy. Everything is energy. And when you really get the right impulses in, then you can really make so huge changes and movements forwards, and just enjoy it and do something for yourself. You know, being a practitioner for so long, I learned the most important thing is that you be healthy first. You need to take care of yourself first. And what is easier than having this little thing there sitting in the bus or in the train or in the plane or wherever? Just push a few buttons and get your little, I don't know, ecstasy liquid in your brain.
Mm-hmm. That is amazing and tremendous. I love it. You're getting so much love from people down in the comments. Everybody's thanking you, and oh my gosh, I'm so glad we got to introduce you to the biofeedback community at large. You're such a treasure.
Thank you for all that. I can't see you. It was my really stressing thing to yesterday. I told Ariel, oh my God, I can't do that. Can't we just do it without video? I just talk. And she forced me. She forced me to do that. So I can release my back pain now completely. Everything.
Well, the truth is that you were willing.
Yes. Okay. That is okay. That is what you need to have. If someone is not willing, then nothing will help. Not even the genius.
That is so true. That is so true. All right. Well, hopefully in 2019, we'll hear more from you. I know that our community really does want to hear more of your wisdom. Silky, I know it's late there, but thank you so much.
Thank you from my side. All the best and good luck and much success and fun on your wonderful summit. And thanks for all the work and power and effort and everything which you put in this thing to make it happen. So love from me to all of you guys there. Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, beautiful New Year. And well, I would love to be there as a guest next year, live or video. Now I know how it goes, so it will be easy for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Silky. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Oh, so wonderful to have Silky. And I'm so grateful that she was able to join us. I'm really grateful. I'm trying to get our new guest navigated in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just leave the genius on here for 1 second, and I'm going to be popping off for just a few moments and see if I can grab her and have her be part. So just stay tuned. You'll see the genius here, but you won't hear me, and I will be back in just a few moments. So get a glass of water and join us here in about 5 minutes. Thanks so much, you guys. Okay, you guys, we're just about to get restarted here, and welcome and thank you for hanging on. And I want to introduce my next guest, who is Sophie Guez, who is a longtime biofeedback practitioner joining us from France. I am so excited to have her. She has gone from a safari guide in Kenya all the way to certified biofeedback practitioner, now practicing in Central California. She's been practicing biofeedback using several types of software, including the Genius Insight since 2012. And like I said, directly from France, where it's getting very, very late, welcome, a warm, warm welcome to Sophie. So just let her jump in here. Hello, my dear, how are you?
Fine, Ariel, can you hear me?
Yes, it's actually the
Can you
opposite
hear
of our
me?
last speaker. Yes, we hear you fine. It's a little bit loud, actually. It's a little bit high on the volume.
Well,
but
okay.
You're fine. Okay, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Welcome.
So, yes, well, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be with everyone tonight. Well, it's nighttime here as I'm in France, and very happy to share this exciting event with you. I was not a biofeedback practitioner until 6 years ago, but I was always into natural health. I had done workshops in acupressure, reflexology, aromatherapy. So you have to have a foot into the natural medicine to get to biofeedback. Usually that's how you get there. So biofeedback.
But wait, what drew you to biofeedback? Perhaps you're just going to tell us now.
I think the universe. I think the universe has its ways to guide you to where you are supposed to go, and it made so much sense once I discovered biofeedback that that was what I was meant to do and where I was meant to be, and it was love at first sight, I always say. And the passion is
Was
still
there
there.
something about your ability to test yourself that intrigued you?
No, my mom was not very well at that time. So when I did the first session by chance, a session of biofeedback, I saw this is an amazing tool, and I'd love to be able to do that, so I could do my family. You know, it was really my intention was my mom, actually, my primary intention. But then, you know, I became so passionate about it that it went much further than healing the family. And now I've done hundreds of people, as you know, or children or animals. And I want to say that biofeedbacks do much more than just bring back health. You know, they bring back emotional health, mental health. They help with relationships, and I will tell you through some examples how they do that. They help with performance. They help with. They can even be life changing. I've had some clients who told me who really made big changes in their lives after just one session of biofeedback. Because even if you rebalance one frequency, there's a shift that starts to operate in the body. Just like if you, let's say, if you see something horrible, or if you are receiving a bill, you know, nobody wants to receive bills, you know. There's something happens in your body. Maybe you get pissed off, and it triggers a whole series of emotions and physiological reactions also. Because you see that bill, then you get pissed off. Maybe you start hating, you know, the whoever sent you that bill, and your blood pressure goes higher, your heart accelerates. You know, there's a whole bunch of reaction. So you can imagine when you rebalance, let's say, the frequency of love or unhappiness, or if you rebalance just one meridian, you can imagine the series that's going to happen in the body with just the big shift that's going to start in the body with just rebalancing one frequency. And what we do here, of course, we rebalance several frequencies during a session. And can you hear me? I can't hear you, April. Ariel. Can you hear
sorry,
me?
that's my fault. No, that's my fault. I was just going to tell you, we're losing you in the camera view because of the iPad. Yeah, okay, that's much better. We just didn't want to lose you. Yeah.
I'm holding it with French, English, Italian dictionary, actually. And behind is a big encyclopedia, since nobody uses encyclopedia anymore, So, yeah, so you can hear me properly?
Yes, but it's interesting that your experience has come full circle, and I don't want you to disclose anything that you want to, but you're even using biofeedback for a difficult situation that you're having right now.
Yes, of course. I just came from the hospital. I was running frequencies there, and things are going much better, actually. And I must say thanks to biofeedback, because I missed the previous talk, unfortunately, but I was hearing about oxygen and all the protocols that are being put in place now in intensive care are just pure torture for the patient, because again, I feel that doctors, nurses, they are the puppets of the pharmaceutical industry that's really trying to sell and more and more. So they use all kinds of liquids and serums and medicine. The moment somebody's blood pressure goes down even to 90, they start adding water in the patient, or, and say we want to bring their blood pressure higher. And then after that, they do a dialysis because there's too much water in the body. It's just crazy. It's just a lot of nonsense, because the patient cannot relax at any time. And the new protocol is to put the patient in artificial coma. That's the new thing around the block. Here, everybody is put in artificial coma, supposedly for the patient to be more comfortable while the doctors are investigating. And
That sounds insane. That
it is
sounds absolutely
insane,
insane.
because it's of course it's very risky. Some people wake up and they can't open their eyes, or they can't talk, or they can't move. They are like a vegetable, especially elderly patients, and it's too much. It's too much, and they
I
check.
talk about invasive. I mean, that's
Very
like
invasive, very
invasive. Yeah.
invasive, and the machines that are involved generate a lot of radiations. The amount of radiations in an intensive care is incredible. The computer monitors, are there 24/7 for the patient, next to the patient. And then you have sounds like, sirens sometimes, some alarm sounds. Anytime there's a value that goes up or down, beep, beep, some very loud beeps,
So how is the person expected to heal with all of this going on all day?
The person thinks that it's something in their body that's triggering it, that maybe their heart has stopped, or
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying. It's pure horror. And somebody who has been put in artificial coma, they feel like they have been put into a cave or something, somewhere very dark, that they were locked up there, and they come out slowly, and they are completely anxious and paranoid, and you really have to talk to them. And ideally they would need, well, I'm doing the psychological follow-up as far as I'm concerned, but they would need psychological assistance
I would need it.
throughout
I mean, that sounds
when they
extremely
wake up,
traumatizing. Yeah.
because even 6 months later they can still have some anxiety attacks. Yeah. And they are stuck to a bed with tubes in their mouth, in their neck, in their stomach. Sometimes the legs are tied to the bed, to a machine, so they don't get phlebitis. But it is torture. The person cannot move, they're tied to a bed and with the mouth open. If it was for a short while, but they do so many tests and scanners and everything, because of course it brings money to the hospital also. And I'm afraid to say, you may have seen in France, there's a big problem with people saying they want more money, but they want free health care, they want free medical care, they want free education and everything. And the government is so stretched that they don't have enough resources to really satisfy everybody completely. So they satisfy everybody a little bit.
Well, of course, because when they've used such an inefficient form of medicine, it's no surprise.
No, but then the
inefficient,
hospitals
yeah.
make money by, prescribing scanners after scanners. And when I biofeedback, I can see X-ray detox and all kinds of stuff like that,
So you can see that she's been affected by the X-rays.
Absolutely, absolutely. They do X-rays like, I don't know how many times a day.
So she's being exposed to more radiation as a result of this.
Absolutely. You see, and all those drips they put several antibiotics in a patient, because of course they can't see where the infection is. They can't find, because of biofilm and everything. So I asked them, do you
Whereas they could
put
easily find it with biofeedback, but they are
yeah,
not even close to using it.
exactly, because I have another case where I told them I have a system that can see that there is infection. They didn't treat the infection for 5 weeks. Another person was airlifted to another hospital where they found the infection now, and finally they are treating the infection. It's unbelievable. And, I ask them because in those drips, they can put vitamins. Sometimes they tell you, we put vitamin, we put this and that. So I said, how about probiotics? Because, all the antibiotics are still, because they are going out to kill bacteria, they also kill the good bacteria, of course. And the nurse told me, no, we don't. She can take probiotics later when she's healed. How will she get a chance to heal if the bacteria the good bacteria is all messed up by the antibiotics and by it's very aggressive. It's very, very aggressive.
It makes it seem like the hospital has not a clue about how to heal the body, and you're coming in there with all the information of how your mother could heal.
And I don't care. I do biofeedback, and I got a laser, and tomorrow I'm doing laser on her feet. I feel bad because with biofeedback, I feel you can have good health forever. And my dad is 87 and is a model of health, but he has never been into that system, that medical system. So he's on no medication. He walks, he swims, he's very healthy. His brain is fantastic, his memory. So my mom just got caught up in the system 40 years ago on high blood pressure medication. And then we know what that leads to, you develop arteriosclerosis because of the buildup of bad cholesterol, because of the medication. And then it goes on and on and on. So anyway, I wasn't planning to talk about my mom, actually, because I had some other things in mind. So I was saying that, are you there, Ariel?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. I wanted to give you the time to say that. But I was going to tell you that. I was going to tell you that your conversation about your mother is really, really helpful. I think everybody needs to know about what they're facing in a hospital today. Is just the disparity between medicine that works and what they're getting in the hospital is.
If it was up to me, I wasn't here. So she got an infection, and she never tells me. My dad tells me when something happens, but she never tells me. So she was taken to hospital with an infection, and right the moment she arrived, they removed her gallbladder. And they said,
you didn't even know what was going on.
It's dangerous operation. She might not survive the operation. Then why are you doing it? So I asked them afterwards. They said because it was a bit hazy, fuzzy. They couldn't see very well in the area of the gallbladder, and she was complaining of stomach pain. Stomach pain, that could be anything, And to me, it's like if it's very foggy and because you think, oh, that's the way, you know what I mean? You would go slowly if it's foggy, and that's what they should have done. No, they removed the gallbladder within hours that she was admitted, and then they put her in an artificial coma because they said, oops, we made a mistake. The infection was not in the gallbladder. We have to look for it. And now she's slowly coming out of it, and not thanks to them. Really, I don't mean to boost. I mean to boost about biofeedback. Yeah, she's coming because they said the coma. They said she might not come out of the coma, and she was in a very bad place. And when I did biofeedback, she started to open her eyes, really within minutes of the biofeedback, and squeeze our hand and everything. So I mean. And then you get infections in the hospital. She had one infection. She ended up with 4 infections that she caught in the hospital. In the hospital, Staphylococcus aureus, which is very classic nosocomial
about as
bacteria.
As it gets, yeah.
And then she got a pneumopathy, a type of pneumonia that you get also in the hospital. They told me, what do you expect with your mouth open for 2 weeks? Because at that time, she had been there 2 weeks. What do you expect with your mouth open? Well, first, I don't expect to have my mouth open for 2 weeks, And secondly, then if it's in the air, find a way to clean, use essential oils to clean the hospitals, so to me, she's worst off, kind of, because they are still clearing 2 infections. She has no more gallbladder, and their kidneys have been but they are working again thanks to biofeedback. She was on dialysis yesterday, because they injected 10 liters of water. I don't know in gallons how many that is, because they couldn't see her vessels properly, her blood vessels. So they injected that, and then they tell you candidly, well, we injected, but our vessels are old, so the water comes out of the vessels, and it's easy to go out, but it's not easy to get it back in and get it out of the body.
What?
It is. I could not believe what I was hearing. It's been a nightmare, and my mom is there. She still has the tube in her mouth. She's telling me, I want to go out. I want out. I write on my
Who
iPad.
wouldn't want to go out? It's like a torture chamber there.
We told them, okay, that's enough. Enough invasion, investigation. Just let her recover from. She just had an infection, for God's sake. She was not. No, it's very brutal, and they don't realize that those protocols, to me, it reminded me of the protocols for veterinary practice, where they are being told to vaccinate every year, every 3 years, and they don't realize that they are being told by reps from companies that are selling products. And in the intensive care, it's the same. They are doing all kinds of protocols. They are, adding liquids and stuff, and catheters in the patient. Like, she had 3 catheters going on in her body and doing so many things. And this thing is the right thing because that's what they were taught probably in medical school. But I don't see it as successful because people get more sick by the day,
Of course.
And it's not only my mother. You have several examples. So if you go to hospital now to die in hospital or to be much worse off, I don't see how they can say it is successful or how it doesn't work. Just like medication doesn't work because you have to take it for life, Whereas if you take a
hospital is kind of
homeopathic,
the epitome, like the highest level of dysfunctional breakdown, and you're getting it up close and personal. But your mother's so lucky that you're able to run biofeedback while she's there for her.
the fight of my life, because every time I feel I have to repair the stuff that they do to her,
Yes, it's like they're screwing up and you're like fixing everything along the way.
Honestly, and I'm so grateful to Karen, who gave me some libraries about the infection remedies, and thank you, Karen. You are an angel. They really helped. They really helped because they found an infection. The next day they said, "Oh, we can't find the infection again," and then they found the staphylococcus. And then they said, "Oops, we don't know where it's gone." So That's why I'm saying
amazing. It disappeared just on its own.
It disappeared, and they were like, "Oh, we thought there was an infection, and we don't see it today." So no, I really believe in biofeedback. So of course, and I have more examples than my mom. So anyway, I don't want people to get tired of hearing about
well,
that.
A lot of people are sending you good wishes, and a lot of people know you in our community. But yeah, I mean, I think actually it's perfectly timed because we get from your story about the urgent need to use biofeedback. If you can't get the hospital to use it, at least you learn about it so you can run biofeedback for your parent or family member when they need it.
Yes, because very often it's a very subtle shift is enough in a person, because I have many clients with one session, they are fine.
Right.
Because they just get that shift that they needed emotionally or mentally or physically, and then they are good to go.
Exactly. That's what we talked about at the first hour. So that's a lot of what my lecture was about. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's especially important, like for children. Children don't need to go to I shouldn't say they don't need to go to the doctor, but honestly,
that's exactly what we were saying. We were saying how many childhood illnesses are self-limiting. It's exactly right.
Exactly, because you have even a baby that's teething, you can run some frequency within 20 minutes, the baby is sleeping. And I have had that experience. I've had experience with but children crying at night, crying every 15 minutes, waking up the parents, you just rebalance their meridians usually, and then they are fine, and the parents are sleeping, and the baby is sleeping. Also, teenagers, they are affected a lot by anxiety, by ADD, by Asperger, and everything. And really, they just need a change, a shift, like biofeedback, to remove the anxiety. I had a girl not long ago. She couldn't talk in class. She had so much anxiety. She was afraid they would tell her to read in class, and she was shy. So in one session only, this girl has overcome her anxiety, and I've shown her some points to press, when she feels anxious, or in her ear, so that she had long hair, so it's discreet. She can press in her ear and relieve that anxiety. And she doesn't have to go and see a psychiatrist and get some antidepressant or whatever tranquilizers like they give. I've had a kid who wanted to kill himself this year, and one session and some 5-HTP, and that kid is not even on 5-HTP anymore, but he's fine. He never talks of anything sad anymore. Another one was he was diagnosed with autism spectrum level 2. Now he's in California Polytechnic, So you can really make a big change in the lives of those children, those adolescents, because they don't need, once they go to a psychiatrist, once they go here and there, it's going to mess up their system. They'll be given Zoloft, they'll be given all the, it's ridiculous. And just with biofeedback, you can bring them to that peace of mind, that relieve that anxiety very easily. Of course, I always start with emotions, because 80% of the stuff we have comes from emotion. Even if people tell you, oh, but I do have sciatica, that pain will be triggered when the emotion, which is connected to that area, that part of the body, which is usually anxiety, fear of the future, or fear of money problems, whenever they have that emotion, their sciatica will act up, will be stronger, will start hitting them and going all the way to their toes. And same with knee pain, of course, there can be a meniscus problem, but when the emotion associated with the knees, which is being stubborn, being inflexible, because that's where we bend down, when we pray, when we bend down, that's where we bend down. So stubbornness or inflexibility is going to affect those knees, and the pain will be much stronger anytime they experience that emotion. And if you tell people it's due to that, next time they will have that knowledge, and slowly they are going to, and subconsciously probably, they are going to think about it and be less inflexible or less stubborn.
Absolutely, because they don't want to keep repeating the same pattern and experiencing the same pain. And you've
Yeah.
been aware of that.
Yeah, and once we know something, then we can control it. Yeah.
And that's the energy, well, that's the advantage of biofeedback, I think, is what you're saying, that biofeedback is powerful because of the awareness that it brings to people. Now, you mentioned a couple of cases you went through rather quickly, and I think I just want to call your attention back to those. You said you did biofeedback with a kid who's now in Polytechnic school?
In California Polytechnic, yeah, Cal Poly it's called. And
Yeah,
that
but
kid
tell
is
us a little bit about that, what happened with him,
so
and tell us how many
he's
sessions you did with him.
He's 17 years old, and I had done biofeedback on his mom. She had Hashimoto. She had a past of seizures, seizure disorders. And she told me, I would like you to see my son, because he's a little bit behind in school and everything. And they want us to do an assessment of his brain and everything. And we don't want to, because she knew they were going to find something and probably put a sticker like they did, so the school insisted on doing an assessment, and they came up with a 6 or 7 pages report. And the conclusion that he had autism spectrum disorder level 2.
Mm.
And I read that assessment, it said, he cannot stand bright lights or too much noise, he likes to sit on the couch and watch TV. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, no, I don't really
I
watch
know,
TV,
it's like it sounds like
but
half of us on here would get autism spectrum disorder too.
whatever. So in fact, when I did, so that boy was devastated, because he feels he's a normal kid, and what they call normal, and suddenly he's told he's autistic. And this boy could speak English, Spanish. He had his driver's license. He had a
It's
girlfriend.
exceptionally smart. Yeah. I mean, probably
Regular
very
teenager.
much misdiagnosed.
Completely. And I found that he was electrosensitive. So that's why he had a reaction to too much light, too much noise, and everything. And he had Hashimoto's thyroid, like the mother. So that made him tired and kind of appearing lazy and everything. And when he was 5 years old, he had seizure disorder also and was treated with heavy duty drugs. So he was kind of behind in school, but he was a normal kid. You talk to him, it was like, and I'm not saying autistic children are abnormal, because I feel there's a whole spectrum of intelligence and different people, and they have just been medicalized so that they could be given more drugs. Yeah. So I talked with him and I told him that this was nonsense, and that I explained to him that he was electrosensitive. That's why, he was maybe slower or sometimes disturbed and whatever. And that boosted him. And I met the mom a few months ago, and she said, now he's in Cal Poly. So, and I did biofeedback, of course, on him. And first with his emotions that were really, he was really depressed because of the assessment. So that goes to show that, again, you can save, in a way, save a child like that from being taken in a system that wants to, catalog them as, too quiet, too excited, too this, too that, and let them be who they are, and they can be very creative and become a very, very, how do you say, very exciting human beings, very exciting
Who
adults,
are able to express their full potential. It shouldn't be that
Exactly,
difficult for people to
exactly.
restore their health and get back to that place of full potential.
Yeah. Or if you have a child that has, maybe the child cannot digest or whatever, very often, unless there's something special, they can't find it because they don't check the meridians. And I have found that with children, a lot of the time, the meridians are out of balance.
Mm-hmm.
So that will,
Tell us a little bit more about that, about how often you check the meridians and how helpful you find them to be.
I always check them. They are in the first panel of the Genius. So, but even if they are in balance, I'll go and, investigate and check if there's nothing, if there's good balance there in the meridians or something can be worked on. And then if there's really an issue with the meridians, I'll go to the points of each meridians and rebalance all the points that are high or low by themselves, so that meridian will be properly rebalanced, and that will bring the chi energy to that part of the body, and it's very efficient. You can rebalance pain. I remember that child, the parents told me, oh, he's very anxious and everything, and he had stomachache. The moment I rebalanced his emotion, the stomachache was gone, because the stomachache came from his anxiety, of course. So talking about pain, it's very easy if you want to relieve somebody of pain, because let's say they have pain in their back or on their foot or somewhere, yeah. So when you check the spine, you open the points of the spine, the vertebrae that are out of balance. You can do more than that if you have Dr. Policano's libraries. But even if you don't have them, when you get started with the Genius, you still have a lot of possibilities. You go to the spinal program, you run that, and then you go to the points that are out of balance, and you do, how do you call it, cross-check insight?
The
I can never remember that name.
entangled insight, yeah.
Entangled insight. So there you enter pain. You are going to see a whole list of different pain frequencies, and I listed them because there is hip pain, pain relief, pain acute, pain of infection, surgical pain, post-operative, pain acute, sedation, muscular pain and injury, cancer pain,
So,
bunion pain, joint pain.
gotcha.
So,
Tell us, okay, we're going to bring that up in a minute so we can see it.
yeah.
But tell us again how you use it. I mean, do you use the one to diminish, what was the one that you said to diminish pain? Diffuse pain or
No,
something?
if I go to spinal, if it's a pain, like somebody has a pain on their shoulder or pain, on their hip or somewhere. So I'll run spinal, then let's say L1, I'm going to click on that to go to entangled insight. And I'm going to enter in the search box, I enter pain.
Oh, it's not, nothing's coming up though. That's weird.
Yeah, your picture is different than mine. You have a special application.
No, I don't know why that would happen. Mine is just the regular version. But yeah, I'm only getting acute pain when I look at it. What's the
No,
other one
but
that you want?
can you scroll? If you scroll, you are going to see all the pains that I enumerated.
No, what are you using it on an Android version or an
No, on
iOS
the
version?
iPad.
That is really weird. Mine is not coming up like that even when I just type in the word pain.
Is it
Oh,
still
and
Mercury?
now it's starting to populate. That is weird. Yeah,
I
it's
thought
like
it was still Mercury retrograde.
well, mine is populating 3 types of pain: acute pain, bunion pain, and a cancer pain.
Try to scroll it with your finger, or
Oh, there you go.
you'll see
Yep,
more.
yep, they're all there now.
Yeah, so there are so many. That gives you a really good
I
tool.
didn't even know that scroll function existed.
Yeah, so you can put pain relief in your tray. You can put hip pain if it's hip pain or whatever. You have your pick there. If you run them in entangled insight and you get a low percentage for, let's say, for acute pain, then check pain relief. Maybe the pain is not acute, but pain relief is going to help whatever kind of pain it is. You just run them. You have a choice of different ones, and the one that resonates like at 99%, you put it in your tray, so
That's
that you will
good.
rebalance. Yeah, and you will give relief to somebody very quickly. Not just with pain. You can add, whatever is out of balance, and some emotions, of course, because they are anxious because of their pain. They are feeling bad. So by rebalancing their emotions, they are going to be in a place already of more optimism, happiness, and feel much better about everything. Because when we are busy, we don't feel pain. Usually, we don't feel sick because our mind is busy and cannot focus on the pain. And I always say, when we are in love, we don't feel pain, we don't feel tired, we don't feel hungry, we don't feel sleepy.
Of course. Yeah, we're able to
Everything
tap
is
into
working in
that.
our
Yeah,
body.
yeah, absolutely.
So if by rebalancing the emotions, you will put them in that state of parasympathetic state, where they'll be relaxed and they'll open the way for healing. So that's about pain, and you can rebalance any kind of pain, really, and
And
usually very, very
have
easily.
you helped people with pain in your biofeedback practice?
All the time.
And
Somebody tells me they had
give us one example of somebody who
somebody the
experienced
other
reduced
day
pain.
who had back pain. And so now, if you want something even more precise, you can get the libraries, like the dermatomes library. The dermatomes are those spinal nerves that go all across, like from the back to the front, from your hips down all the way to your toes. So by rebalancing the dermatomes that come up as high or low, high values are acute and low values are more chronic. So by rebalancing those dermatomes, again, you are going to act in a very big way on the spinal nerves and relieve them of pain. That's So no, I've done back pain, elbow pain, shoulder pain. knee
And how
pain.
many minutes do you find that you need to run these pain reduction programs for in order
I just
to
check for at
go your
least
response?
over 50% rebalancing. I have found that 50% is over 50% is good, and that's usually when the window pops up and say your client has responded successfully.
So that could be maybe 5 minutes.
Yes, yes. You
And
can.
then
It depends
start
how
to,
many items you have put in the box. So if I just put a few items, I'll put 3 minutes. I'll start with 3 minutes and see where that takes me. And if I see it's a very low percentage, I'll add on, and yeah. It really depends, on the person, the state of their spine or the state of their emotion, how deep it is, how deep the problem is. Some frequencies rebalance in a few seconds, they go to 90%, and some frequencies take 5-10 minutes before you can get anywhere.
if you're ever stuck, do you add in other things to get the
Yeah,
unstuck?
yeah. Usually, I'm like you, Ariel. I like to get a nice design, like when I see a lot of lines, moving in very beautiful way, I'm satisfied that there's a good combination of items. That's,
Oh, you look for the algorithm.
it's completely relative, but it works for me. So, I mean, it works for my clients, and
What,
uh,
what's one
and
of
they
the
get really.
most what's one of the most profound cases you can think of where you know that your biofeedback made the difference?
I was saying biofeedback can be life changing because some people, again, just need some rebalancing of their emotions, of their hormones, and then it's going to open up something that they they wouldn't have been ready for or thinking of. It opens to all kinds of potential because I also rebalance through the flower essences. I rebalance what's going on in the subconscious, and those voices that tell you, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, you are too rich, too poor, too young, too old, all those voices that maybe from experience or not even experience, from assuming something that hold you back. So I put a lot of those flower essences, and it creates a real shift in people. I mean, that one more so than the emotional panel alone. This one is going to relieve them of a lot of chaos they had maybe in their subconscious, a lot of things holding them back, or past traumas that they were holding on to without realizing. So I've had this woman, I've had actually, she had heartburns, she had hormonal changes, she was depressed and everything. And I did one session on her, and that was it, because then I didn't see her for 1 year. But the following year, she was telling everybody she changed my life,
Really?
because
So that
after
was
the
one
biofeedback,
session.
one
One session.
session, one session, but it just hit the right stuff, yeah, for her. It was what she needed to. Now, she left her job, she started her own company, and she, she completely changed. She became more healthy and everything. Some people, they just need that push. I have,
Exactly. That is exactly what we were talking about. And it sounds
yeah,
like some of the things you tell them help them to make that change, maybe that they even knew that they needed to make, but you're that one confirming voice
yeah,
that
yeah.
helps
Of
them.
course, you have to use a lot of psychology and explain to them many things, in their relationship or their work, or and make them responsible for what's going on in their lives, and it works, I guess, and the biofeedbacks back me up in that. And I had another one who she looked like 10 years older than she actually was. When I saw her age, I thought she looks much older. And now she looks 10 years younger than she actually is, because she started going to the gym, she started dressing differently, arranged her hair and everything. And you can tell there's so much vitality in her now, and she's glowing. And she was having problems with her daughters, with her husband. But I told her, maybe if you did this and this, to behave a different way, maybe to get different results in a relationship with her daughters, with her husband. And now they are fine. I've met her with her husband. Sometime I live in a small town, so I meet her at the market or with her daughters. She goes to the gym with her daughters now, and it's been life changing for her, totally life changing for her. Like for the other one who started a new business, who left her job and everything. And I think, well, I get a lot of women in their 50s. It's a very difficult time for a woman. The hormones are, fluctuating, if not really dropping. And there's a sense of, depression and not feeling like doing anything, or like it's very tough actually. It's a very tough time, and so they need that push, to feel much better, to feel more energy again, to feel more hope, more excitement. And there you can advise them, on, if they are stay-at-home moms, to advise them on activities, on stuff they can do, to feel better and to be more fulfilled. Yeah. And that's a part, that goes together with the biofeedback, and they appreciate. And that's, it's important. It's been life-changing, health-wise also for some people. I have a woman who had fibromyalgia. People live with their disease or whatever. They are told you have fibromyalgia, so they are going to feel that pain all the time. Whenever they have a slight, soreness, they
And
think
then
that's
they
my
go back
fibromyalgia.
and they think I have fibromyalgia. Yeah.
Yeah, and because it's been given a name, it's become a stigma, and they really live it. Once you get them out of there, they realize, hey, I can do this, I can do that, I can, my life is not over, and this is just a name, and I don't have to feel it all the time, and I'm fine. And I had this woman who was in the middle of a divorce. She was over 60, fibromyalgia and a back case of candida. And what else did she have? Oh, she has depression. She had depression, of course, and everything. After the one session again. So these are people who just needed that, because I texted her a few days later, and she was on top of the world. She even had a boyfriend, and she was, a good-looking woman in her 62 or something, and she had been from the divorce very, where she found stuff. She realized the husband wasn't faithful and everything. To suddenly come out and tell me, oh, now I have a boyfriend and I'm selling my house and I'm doing this and that, So you can really make a difference with just, doing biofeedback on somebody. Another way even than health, create a shift in them, and they are going to feel, hallelujah, this is what, this is the direction I'm supposed to go. And,
Well, Sophie, really, you picked up exactly. I know you weren't around for the first part, but the first hour, this is exactly what I talked about, that often it's the most subtle shifts, and then the person is just off to the races. They can take care of everything else themselves. So you're completely in line with exactly what I talked about, and you're saying the same thing, and you get the amazing results from what you're doing, which is incredible. You're such a gifted practitioner. And I just wanted to thank everyone who's watching and remind them, be sure to share this on your Facebook page. I know a lot of people have been doing that, and I want to sincerely thank you. I can see all of the love and all of the comments, and be sure to love or like our broadcast so that it becomes available or of interest, notified to more people to watch it. And also, if it's the first time you're watching me or seeing Sophie or learning about this, then please go to awakentotalhealth.com. And that's the website where you can download the trial for the Genius, and you can join our classes. We have weekly classes that are free. We're a community. We have a community of people talking to each other and sharing in events just like this one. We want you to be as active in that community as you want to be, and making these types of discoveries, because they're so important and they're life-changing, just like Sophie is telling us. So Sophie, I really thank you for...
I want to add something,
Yeah,
if I may.
Yes,
It's also, a very useful tool. Once you will realize how precise, how accurate it is, you'll be able to see if somebody is being told that they have cancer, or somebody. I've had several cases. A woman waiting, she was doing a biopsy that same day, and she was worried that she had cancer and everything. And I ran everything for her, and there was no cancer anywhere. So, and now I have enough experience to trust my system and to trust, what I see. Like, there's a coherence in different panels and whatever. And I was able to tell her, "Don't worry, you don't have cancer." And it was, I want to say it, of course, it was confirmed by the biopsy, but she didn't have to wait 2 weeks, and she was making herself completely sick by worry, about the cancer. And somebody else, same thing. They thought they had cancer, esophagus cancer, and the biopsy came back, came back negative. Yeah. So you can really help people, because even if it's not cancer, but if they think, they have something going on, you can rebalance and appease them and put them in a much better place, because their anxiety is not going to help them in getting over or recovering from any sickness that they are suffering from. So it's a useful tool, especially with libraries, where you can see, generally speaking, their blood and their hormones, their everything that can give you indication of their state of health, and make them feel better about it. Actually.
Absolutely. No, it brings the ultimate optimism, because you can always help them. You always know something, and you can always do something. You can run the frequencies. You don't have to have a medical degree. You don't have to know anything. You can run the frequencies that their field is indicating that they need at that time. And if you want to learn a little bit more, like Sophie has invested, she took 2 years of my classes, then you can tell people a lot more as a result. And I did want to answer somebody's question in the room. They asked about the pain piece, and I just brought it up here so everybody could see it. It's a click. You have to click down and look for it. It's like a toggle switch, or you basically have to go down like this. It doesn't come up as pain all. Just so you guys know, that's totally. I didn't know about that at all.
You have to do them individually.
Function on me, so I didn't know. Yeah. I'm not sure that I have to talk to the developer, because I'm not sure he meant to do that. But anyway, you have to sort of click around to get the right pain that you're looking for. But there they are. And I think sedation and pain relief is really fantastic. Pain from infection, these are all really, really great. They could be used for probably, 50% of the people who are on here right now might want to do some pain reduction. So that's wonderful. And we have such a problem with people using opiates and using things for pain reduction that are pharmaceutical, that are incredibly addictive and harmful. So this is a great thing to have, that you can just pull this up and run this at any time. So Sophie, was there any we're sort of down to the last couple of minutes here, any final thoughts to encourage people what to do next?
Yeah, well, with the Genius, it is so easy, because even if you only have a couple of minutes to work on yourself or on somebody, you are going to make such a change in how you are or how they are, because you just access their record. You just record your voice. It takes 30 seconds. You take a selfie, that's half a second, and then you run the panels. And if you're really stretched by time, you can rebalance highs and lows without even selecting anything, without putting anything in the trays. If you have a few more minutes, you can select, different frequencies and run them even in the morning while you are getting ready. They can be in your bathroom, or they can be in your car. They can be anywhere. And within minutes, you are going to feel a huge difference, because, like I was saying, even one frequency is going to create a shift. So a number of frequencies are going to make you feel on top of the world for the next meeting you are going to.
I love it. That's a great, great place to finish up. Sophie, I want to thank you so much for your wisdom and for being really an active pioneer in the world of biofeedback. You've brought probably more healing than you realize to hundreds of people. It's extraordinary what you've done, and I always learn a lot from you as well. So, and thank you for sharing with us, especially being that you're in very difficult circumstances. I know a lot of people that are listening today are actually praying for you and sending you good wishes.
Thank you. We'll get her out of there.
All right.
As always, we'll get her out of their grasp. Thank you for inviting me, Ariel. It was a pleasure. Of course, I could talk about biofeedback the whole night because that's my passion. And thank you
so very much, Sophie.
And good health and good biofeedback to everybody.
Thank you. We'll talk soon, okay?
Okay. Bye.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Oh, that was such a wonderful talk from Sophie. So we had Silky and then we had Sophie, and they were so great, you guys. I learned a tremendous amount from them, and it just really shows the amazing pioneering and passion that we have in our group. So if you want to be part of an active, exciting community, just jump right in with both feet. We would love to have you. And you can go to awakentotalhealth.com and download the Genius. When you download the Genius, it gives you, we start to interact with you. We send you tutorials and invite you to the weekly class, and just warmly welcome you into the community of energy medicine practitioners and people who are curious about energy medicine and want to learn more. What is this all about? What is the history of biofeedback? Like, we got that whole download today from Silky. It was absolutely incredible how she put that all together and brought us up to date of where we are in biofeedback and how resonance came to be. So it's been really, really exciting. Do share this with people, and we're going to have the recording to share with as many people. You know, share this with people who you've been telling about the Genius, but you haven't known how to talk about it or what to say, and say, hey, there's an active community here. There are people here that want to, you know, share with you what they're doing and helping their mother in the hospital and helping kids who have been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder or someone who's worried about cancer. And you can help all of those people with getting some basic biofeedback training and join our community and get into this. I mean, this is really, really exciting stuff. So I want to then introduce our next guest. I mean, you guys, it just keeps going on and on and on. We've got 3 more guests here. So, you know, grab something to eat and come back if you have to run away and get some refreshments, and then come back and join us and bring as many people along for the ride as you can. I want to introduce our next guest is Dr. Heather Juby, and she is a psychologist and a health coach who specializes in anxiety, autism, and ADHD. At her wellness center in Western Massachusetts, she uses a wide range of holistic approaches, including nutritional approaches, supplements, energy medicine, and of course, the Genius Insight. She also consults to nursing homes, schools, and daycare centers where she teaches staff about holistic approaches to behavioral problems. My goodness, that is so, so needed today. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Heather Juby, and she's going to join us in the room in just a second here. Hi, Heather. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you doing, Ariel?
And do you want us to call you Dr. Juby or Heather during our talk today?
Just Heather is fine. Thank you.
Okay, well, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. I've been using the Genius for, I don't know, probably about 6 months, maybe longer now. And it's my passion. I'm just so addicted to it. I can't wait to talk about it.
All right, well, tell us how your journey began. What sort of drew you to something that would even resemble biofeedback?
Well, I had been studying some health coaching programs. I'm actually primarily working as a health coach because a lot of what I do is considered outside my scope of practice, unfortunately, as a psychologist, hoping that changes soon. But in my health coaching training, I ran across the resonance technology that Silky was talking about, sort of the very expensive $20,000 systems. And of course I wanted one, but could not afford one. So my friend Sandy and I, now my business partner, hopefully she's on here. Hi, Sandy, if you're here. She actually told me about the Genius, and she passed me a link, and I tried the 2-week trial, and I was just blown away. I scanned everybody, anybody, my whole family, bless their hearts. They let me scan them over and over. I scanned myself probably no less than 5 times a day. And I can share with you what that's like, some really cool things. My pets, babies, even pregnant women, I swear I stop people on the street and scan them. So, but in the process,
I can relate to this.
Yeah, I've learned a ton. And every time I get a new panel, I do scans for free. I do as many as I can and try to learn. And it's just been phenomenal. So right now, I'm pretty much exclusively focusing on anxiety, autism, and ADD. Like I said, there's a whole world out there just for that niche. I do have people come to me for other things as well, and I do work with them, especially friends. But I've just really been honing in on anxiety for the most part lately.
Wonderful. And how does it help you in that work?
Oh my gosh. I have to say primarily the very, very biggest thing is what Silky and Sophie have said, which is it just gets to the root causes instantly. And you can help people in one session, even just like you have said with the knowledge and the feedback of what's really going on for them. I have some cases I'll talk about as well. But seriously, just in a moment, I have not had one person get scanned who has not cried, including myself.
Wow.
Once you really see what's going on and you get that fed back to you. Some people have told me it feels like getting a psychic reading because it just hones in so closely to what's really going on. So yeah, for me, I'm in a rural area, which is why I'm in this lovely, I'm in my town hall right now in the town of 600.
Because that was the only place that had really good, strong power signal. That's hilarious.
Yeah, we have a satellite in my house, and it doesn't work for these kinds of things. And not a lot of people around here have a lot of money to do long-term programs at my wellness center. So the fact that I can really hone right down, do a really good assessment of what's going on, share with them some things they can do, give them a balancing. I also use the QuantiCap, which is the app that allows a person to receive the frequencies at home and run them themselves a couple times a day if they want. So I have people do that. The fact that I can work remotely is fantastic because, again, nobody's going to come see me on the top of the mountain here, especially when we have a foot of snow in the winter. So it's been really phenomenal.
So just having the ability to do it long distance is a huge advantage as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No, that's amazing. That's wonderful. I love the idea of being able to get to root cause so quickly in this kind of neutral environment where you don't have to be the one telling them what it is. They can see it in this more objective way. Do you think that that helps them to receive the information?
Yes, it does, because working as a therapist for 20-something years now, one thing that's always hard to break down is that power imbalance that you have. So you're sitting on one side of the table from the client, they're on the other side. They look at you as a doctor that's just going to give them information, sometimes things they don't want to hear, of course. And so we learn a lot in psychology school, as I call it, about how to identify and treat resistance in our clients, and also to recognize when things come up for ourselves emotionally and dealing with difficult cases. So the genius just bypasses all of that. So the way I describe it is that it's like we're actually now sitting on the same side of the table, looking at objective data and saying, well, this little app here says this. Actually, I'm balancing myself right now because I was nervous before I started. It's been working pretty well. My top emotion is no longer worry. But look at this, look at this data. Here's what it says. What do you think? And we're kind of looking at it together and trying to make sense of the data. And it just bypasses all that resistance. They're not reacting to me that's reminding them of doctors that have never helped them, or their mother that was abusive, or anything like that. It's basically looking at this computer app, which we all use on a daily basis. We use apps and electronics, and it helps in that way. So I like that it breaks down that power imbalance, and people are more accepting of the data that comes from the app than from me sometimes, and even the intervention suggestions. So, for example, I work a lot with kiddos with anxiety, ADD, and autism, and one of the things I do a lot of is talk about nutrition. Kids love sugar, kids love junk food, And when you try to talk about that in health coaching or even in therapy, a lot of times, parents say, oh, but it's so hard, or kids say, no, I don't want to change. But when you show them this list of things and it says, blood sugar is showing up, or stomach's showing up, or, these different points are showing up that indicate maybe nutrition's a factor, or vitamins and minerals seem to be out of balance, then they get it. And that opens the conversation.
That's absolutely fantastic. That's what I was hoping it would be.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting echo now. I wonder why.
Maybe could it be volume?
We weren't getting any before. Hopefully it'll clear up. Oh, it's a lot better. Okay. Phew. Yeah. So in the session, what would you say that people, you say you get to root cause, do they feel the results of any of the harmonizing frequencies that they can describe, or do they seem to sleep better, or is there any evidence that they're getting benefit?
Oh, absolutely. I have to say I am currently using it mostly as an assessment tool, because I have a 30-day program where I do a very intensive assessment process, and I design a protocol for them, which is a lot of nutrition supplements, environmental changes, things like that. But the heavy on the assessment, the assessment might be a couple sessions. So I do mostly use it as an assessment tool, and I'd be happy to go deeper into how I do that. But I have to say, for insomnia, it's fantastic. There's a huge success rate with insomnia, and not just the feedback. So for example, someone's not sleeping, you run an insomnia panel, what's going on? And that's one of the ones in the extra libraries that you can purchase. So maybe EMFs come up, you ask them, are you using your phone at night in bed? And most people, when you ask them that, which is a standard part of my interview, they will say, oh, no, I turn it off at night. But when you show them, well, I'm looking on here and it kind of says EMF sensitivity and cell phones and things like that. Yeah, well, I probably should put it away. And it helps to get that feedback of, wow, it really is impacting me more than I realize, and maybe I'm using it more than I realize.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful use of the program as sort of this, again, this objective way where mom figure or anything like that isn't saying you're doing it, but it's like they're being shown that it has this effect. So I love that.
Yeah, and the frequencies, when you play them at night, they're so relaxing. I myself listen to them most nights. A lot of my clients do. A lot of people in my world that I've introduced it to do as well. And it's just magical. It's interesting to see how well it works and how quickly it works.
Somebody in the comments was asking, they're very, very interested in that assessment. What are some of the tips when you do an assessment? If we're not getting too far ahead of ourselves, or if there's something else that you want to talk about first, that's totally fine.
No, that's fine. Actually, I made some notes for myself so I don't forget. Yeah, so I can give people very specific ways I use it so that those who are in our community who are already using the Genius can use this. There might be ways that you all are using it that you could suggest to me as well. And then those who are considering maybe trying it, it'll give you a more detailed sense of how you can use it, say specifically for anxiety. So first what I do is go into the spiritual panel, or the biofield panel. And the reason I do that is because people are more willing to look at that stuff. It's easier for them. It feels fun. It feels like a psychic reading. I get a picture of my aura. It is really fun. I get to look at my chakras. So I look at that first, and it sort of serves as a rapport building exercise, but also a very indirect, symbolic, and visual way of looking at what's going on for the person. So I look at the aura, and I've developed kind of my own way over hundreds of scans to interpret the aura, which I'm open to what other people have to say. I can't say it's based on any knowledge or theory or readings out there.
Tell us some general comments about this aura that's coming up here.
Oh, is there an aura there? Let me see. I'm kind of got you to the side. Let's see. Ooh. So what I would look at is the colors, the placement of the colors, and also the kind of dynamic energy of the colors. So when I see first of all, I see a lot of muted colors. So there's not a lot of strong energy there. There's something that's I would say holding back the energy or diffusing the energy. So as you've said often, Ariel, in your classes, we want to see really strong, vibrant, higher vibrational colors, the purples and the blues and the pinks and the greens. I see a big ball of green up to the right side, which I guess if the person's flipped, it'd be the left side. Someone has told me that the left side represents the masculine side and the right side represents the female side. So I use that. Sure. So I see green as healing, heart chakra energy. So I'd say, oh, I wonder if someone in your world, potentially a male figure, is kind of offering you some healing energy right now, or is really there for you. It's also up by the head. So crown chakra and brow chakra or third eye chakra. So I'd say possibly this energy is coming from the universe, from source, or from someone who's passed on, or it's something that the person's thinking about. So that opens up a lot of possibilities. And the person will give you feedback and say, oh yeah, you know, my dad has been sending me emails to encourage me, or yeah, my boyfriend is away right now, but he's been encouraging me on the phone or something like that.
That was going to be my next question, was how much it resonates with people. It really gets into this part, that part of healing is feeling understood.
Absolutely.
And that both with your own wonderful skills of empathy and the genius itself, like they probably feel deeply healed just from that interpretation.
Yeah, absolutely. The aura part is very powerful. I always send them home with a picture of it. I do a screenshot and send it to them. And
nice.
They often come back and say, check me now, check me now. What does it say now? And especially with children, children's auras are amazing.
What do you see in children's auras that's different from adult auras?
9 times out of 10, you see lots of pink and lots of purple, just joyful energy. And I love working with kids because they are kind of blank slates. They don't have layers and layers of stuff like we adults do. So if something's going to show up, it's going to be very significant. So actually I have a case I could share with you real quick.
Yeah.
A middle school age boy came to me and he was brought in for depression. He was just very withdrawn, quiet, not talking to anyone, just kind of buried in his video games and not doing well in school. His grades were tanking, and he previously had been quite successful in school. So his mom was worried about him. So we sat there together and I asked him some questions, my typical interview. He was not having any of it. He did not want to answer the questions. He was just giving minimal responses. So I said, you know what, let's try the scan. I was new to the scan. I didn't really know if it would be that helpful yet, but I thought, let me just bring it out. So I did. And I don't show the results directly to the client. I sort of look at them and overlook them first and then share what I think is helpful. And I'm glad in this case I did, because what I saw made me a little freaked out. I saw anger, rage, fear in the emotions panels and across other panels as well. The root chakra was really out of balance. So I said, you know what, Mom, can you leave us for a minute? I just want to talk. And we'll say his name was Bob. Sure. I just want to talk to Bob for a second. She said yes. So she left and I said, Bob, you have these results. And I showed him them. I said, this is kind of concerning. I said, can you tell me what's going on? And the floodgates opened. And he said that, so he was in a blended family. There was some step siblings in the house. And he said that his older stepbrother had been bullying him and beating up on him in the after school time before parents got home. And he'd been afraid to share that with his parents because he was worried that it would split his parents up, and he loved them very much and he loved his new father very much. So I said, wow, that's, a lot to carry. We talked about it for a while. And I said, can we share that with Mom? Do you think it'd be okay? And he said, yes. And I brought Mom back in and asked him if he wanted to share it, and he did. And so they rectified it. I spoke to them a week later and things were much, much improved. And this is also an example of single session therapy, because if I had that child in therapy in a traditional clinic, probably I would have focused on building rapport, and it might have taken several sessions, if not weeks or months, to really get to the issue. And this just got right to it, and he was able to get help right away. So I just feel like it's powerful how you're able to just hone in on what's going on for them, especially kiddos who can't always verbalize what's going on. Yeah, so that was really powerful.
Very powerful. This is such a wonderful story of being able to help somebody so much faster.
Yeah. And with the auras, you can just get right to it. You can really analyze what's going on. You can look at their root chakra, what's going on, under their butt there in that picture, in the root chakra area, what's there, what's not there.
That's amazing. Your interpretation for him was so healing as well. I mean, you did a great job in interpreting the information.
Yeah. And, it scared me for a moment. And I thought, am I going to have to call Child Protective Services? I'm not going to lie. I was nervous with what I saw, but I was glad that it turned out to be helpful. So I always look at the aura first, and that opens things up. And then I'll look at the chakras, and the root chakra often, if it is out of balance, will indicate concern about security in someone's family or social network or job, or their relationship. And I'll look at the throat chakra. And the way that I interpret it, by the way, Ariel, I'm not sure if this is how you do, but I often find that in the red zone, like the throat chakra in that picture, I interpret it as the chakra being really open. And the blue way down at the bottom is being kind of closed down. And I used to do chakra work before the Genius, so I would kind of look at things in that way, and I would actually muscle test on the chakras.
Tell us about the implication of it being too open.
Yeah, so if the only one it doesn't work for is the root chakra, really, I just interpret balance or not balance. But for throat chakra, if it's wide open, I say, well, if it's not a physical issue, say they have a sore throat or a thyroid issue, I'll say, maybe you feel right now like you're able to speak your truth. Maybe you feel right now like you're more able to say what's going on for you, or you have found yourself saying a lot of what's going on for you. Maybe you just got in a fight with your husband. I have heard that before. They say, I was just yelling at my child before I came into the session. I always have to remember that it's very in the moment. What we see is a snapshot. So if I'm working with people over time and I repeatedly scan and I see patterns, then I know it's a deeper issue, but oftentimes it's what's going on right there. The solar chakra, if I saw that on the top, I would interpret that as the person feeling powerful, having a sense of personal power, which could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what's going on for them. The crown chakra is connection to source. So oftentimes I see that up at the top if they're in quite a spiritual moment, connecting with their higher power, or even if they have a headache, it could be physical too. I always try to remember both, and I check out with them what's going on. I'll tell you a cool story about when I first got the Genius, and I was scanning myself 100 times a day.
I did the same.
I learned a lot that way, myself as guinea pig. I'm sure you did too. And I'm on the road a lot, so I do a lot of consulting. So I travel quite a bit, sometimes hours a day. So I'll be balancing myself to make sure I don't want to harm anyone in traffic, but also to see what's going on. So what I started seeing was a trend. So in the beginning of my ride, I'd literally pull over and check myself. In the beginning of my ride, kind of stressed, a little worried, trying to get somewhere on time. And then once I got there, depending on the site, it may have been good feelings coming out or feeling very tired. I'm not going to lie, when you go into some of the nursing homes and do work there, it's difficult because of the nature of the work, but also all of the chemicals and the EMFs.
I never thought about that. The EMFs of the medical devices, and then all the chemicals of cleaning and disinfecting and so forth.
And it all shows up, and everybody's energy there. I mean, there's so much energy there, and I'm very sensitive to all of it. So I would sort of scan myself and see what's going on after that, and pick up on all of that, and clear it. And then one day I'm driving home, and usually I'm in a decent mood driving home, but I was, and I'm a religious person. I'm actually a pastor too, amongst all the other things. So I was listening to some gospel music, and I said, I'm just going to see what that looks like. And I pulled over, and my crown chakra was wide open in my interpretation. And there were emotions of like wonder and awe and joy. And
wow, what a cool exploration though for you to look at.
Yeah, because music is, as you have said, you know, and as we know, music is very high vibration, certain types of music especially. So it's
Yeah.
just amazing how you can see your emotional states literally from minute to minute, or even what's going on. I mean, you know, when I'm driving under chemical sensitivities, air pollution and gasoline shows up, you know, so you can literally see what's going on for you in the moment and get that feedback, which is really cool.
That is fantastic. I love how you're using it to learn more about your environment and how your environment is impacting you. And I love that you see the truth you see the accuracy of the readings along the way.
Oh, 100%. And even remotely, I've started now, people ask me, you know, I can't get to a place where I can give you a voice clip. I usually have people send me a voice clip in Facebook Messenger, because that's just the easiest way to reach me when I'm running around all day, and people do that. And some people say, I just can't, can you just use my last voice clip? And I say, you know, let me just try the remote function, because it is an option using the quantum field. And if you're okay with that, let me feed that back to you and you tell me how accurate it is. And you have said in the past, Ariel, that you see it's just incredibly the same. And yeah, I've been noticing that too, that the results are pretty powerful.
I love it. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And we kind of stopped you in midstream about your assessment technique. Is there anything else that you want to share with the group about your strategies in doing an assessment?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna give you a lot. So, but I'll go a little faster. Yeah. So I look at the meridians. The two that are really significant for anxiety are kidney meridian, which indicates fear on the emotional side. It could obviously relate to physical things. I always, as an investigator and a scientist, I always hold things as a hypothesis, and I wait till I get multiple data points to confirm it. So I don't just take one panel and take that as gospel. But if I see kidney showing up, and then I see a lot of fear and anxiety showing up in other places too, then obviously that means something. And then triple heater or triple warmer relates a lot to stress. I look at the spiritual protection panel. I kind of interpret it a little bit differently. People have had me scan their houses to see if they're haunted, which I have done. And that's really powerful too. I think other people are doing that work as well. What it actually picks up on is often, interestingly enough, the energy of the mom or the person who's home the most. And I have not found a single house, with the exception of possibly one, that I actually thought might truly be haunted. But it's another in. I just feel like this is another way for people to talk about what's going on for them in a way that's symbolic and meaningful, but still feel safe to them. But I have found some things on that panel that are helpful. So when it shows entities, some people get a little freaked out. I actually interpret that, Ariel, as bacteria. I found I don't know if you've noticed this, but I found a correlation between when entities show up and infections show up for people. So that's something that's also significant for anxiety, because there are lots of situations where anxiety could be caused by underlying infections. So I always notice that. When I see dark forces, I think of negativity around the person, either in their own mind or coming from somewhere else. Usually the dark forces is from within, and the psychic attack is someone else being negative in their life. So I'll just say, it seems like there's some negativity, and especially if it correlates with the aura. Is there anybody around you that's kind of driving you crazy these days, or throwing some negative energy your way? Yeah.
Yeah, those are good interpretations of spiritual protection, which can be really confusing for people at times. So that's a great interpretation.
Thank you. And if it says attachments or cutting the cord, then I ask about relationships in their life. And I teach them, how to protect their aura. Or sometimes I'll just send them a YouTube video for some energy medicine tactics on that. And they find that very powerful. Of course, you would take the emotions panel, and the Bach flower essences, of course, are super powerful. When you read back, I know you do this all the time for people, when you read back the meanings of the Bach flower essences and what they address, people are just usually blown away. And you can
how spot on it is for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to ask you something that was in the comments, but I think I already know the answer. They said, what is the remote function, you weren't referring to a button, you were just referring to using it without the voice or the picture.
Exactly. There's a way, which you could explain it better than I could, Ariel, but there's a way to do a scan without actually having the person right there and without actually having their voice, just with their name and their birth date. Each person has their sort of quantum signature, I guess is how you called it, or their almost like their energetic social security number that identifies them in the universe. And it seems really woo-woo. And to this scientist, I thought it was a little wacky. I'm not going to lie when I first learned it. But when you just do hundreds and hundreds of scans and they're spot on, I mean, you can't question it. You just can't question it. I do it on myself all the time. How am I feeling right now? And I'll just run myself without the voice. And it's like, wow, how does it know that? So yeah, I prefer the voice just for validity for the client to really trust it. Honestly, that's mostly what I do, but it's nice to know you have that option. So for example, if I have done scans on pets and I've done scans on people who are in a hospital, say in a coma, as was mentioned. So the last thing I just want to say about assessment is that a huge part of what I do is looking at physical causes of anxiety. So things that are not necessarily obvious. Infections, like I said, there's something called PANS or PANDAS, which you may or may not have heard of.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, which is now finally getting a lot of attention. I've had several kids who their rages or their anxiety or their OCD symptoms are actually due to an infection and not emotional causes. And so they could be on antipsychotics or antidepressants or anti-anxiety medication or ADD medication, and it just does nothing because it's not addressing the underlying infection. Lyme disease is another huge cause, parasites or mold. So those are in the infections panel that are very helpful. I always look at that. I look at vitamins and minerals and amino acids and neurotransmitters. So
very good. Yeah,
looking at nutritional deficiencies, which are huge with kiddos and adults because of our standard American diet, or stress. Stress can deplete vitamin B, for example, and vitamin B is really essential for our brains to work and for our nervous system to work. So I'll look at vitamins, minerals, I'll see what's out of whack, and then I'll also use them in the balancing. I'll throw in the B vitamins, the folic acid, the magnesium, all that kind of stuff. The amino acids I like to teach people about because it's easy to understand. It's easy to show them.
Sure. What are some, do you have any 2 or 3 tips about the aminos? I know they're really related to neurotransmitter function. So yeah, tell us. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the amino acids, if you remember from, I don't know, it was probably biology back in high school, they're the building blocks of protein. And a lot of kids are not getting protein. A lot of teens or adults even are vegetarian or vegan, and they may or may not be doing it in a healthful way. So there's a lot of education there. And so if they're not getting enough, or they're skipping meals, and if they're not getting enough protein, they're not getting enough of the amino acids, then they cannot be building up also their neurotransmitters, because the amino acids are also what makes up the neurotransmitters. And the neurotransmitters are basically the communicators in the brain that help us with things like anxiety and depression. So the most common one that most of us know about is serotonin. And that is what antidepressants help with. Antidepressants are supposed to help us keep what serotonin we have in our brain so it doesn't go away. That's my lay person's way of describing it. So that we can utilize it. And serotonin is sort of like the happy chemical, the sunshiny chemical that makes you feel like I'm not going to worry, everything's fine. And of course, we all want that. And the amino acids that make up serotonin are either tryptophan or 5-HTP. And tryptophan's on the scan there somewhere under the amino acid panel. So if I see that someone's tryptophan is out of whack on the amino acid panel, or serotonin is out of whack on the neurotransmitter panel, I'll ask about that. One kiddo I saw actually had too much serotonin, and that was really interesting. So
how did you make that determination?
I wasn't able to with the Genius because it doesn't say which direction it's in, but I was able to identify it, and it was not even a question for the family because he was on an antidepressant. So they did not expect it to show up. And so when it showed up, we had to really look at it and say, what's going on here? Well, he's taking it. Did he just take his pill right now before the session? No. Okay. Well, it just bothered me. So I actually sent them for neurotransmitter testing, which you can do. And it came up really high on serotonin. And this was a child that was floridly ADD, very actually aggressive at times. And it turned out to be basically serotonin syndrome with him. He was getting too much.
Very interesting.
And they would, of course, the doctors just kept upping his antidepressants and never would have caught it because that's not typical in kids. So I also look at, what else do I look at? I look at spinal. It's interesting how with kids, oftentimes a chiropractic adjustment can do the trick, especially with ADD. So I look at that, and I like to give people a printout of their spinal chart. And
no, why do you do that?
Just because if something is out of alignment, that can contribute to anxiety and also ADD. I couldn't give you all the science behind it. You probably know better than I just know that it's a fact that chiropractic adjustment often helps with the kids. And so I definitely recommend that. And I look at that. And isn't there something with vagus nerve, Ariel, in one of the panels? I don't have it.
We do have the vagus nerve. It's in one of the gut panels.
Yeah, I want to get that. Speaking of gut, digestion is huge. I look at that. I actually have a great case of a child who's in middle school and came to me with difficulty focusing, difficulty sitting still. I mean, this kid in my office, he was dancing around and could not sit in the chair, was turning upside down and doing cartwheels. And pretty happy. So they just figured ADD, but his mom, who's actually a friend of mine, just wanted to come and get one quick last assessment, second opinion before putting him on meds, because he was next about to be put on meds. So did his scan and came up digestion stuff all over the place. And I said, how's his gut health? We talked about it. She said, yeah, he kind of holds his stomach sometimes, talks about stomach pain. So digestive enzymes came up as well as probiotics. And so I said, you know what, I can't help to try. So put him on those two things and his symptoms were gone in 3 days.
Incredible.
And no medication. And so funny follow-up to that is that, I didn't have to see them again. Probably, I want to say 2 months later, mom called me up and said, oh, his symptoms are back. He's horrible. He's worse than ever. I said, what's going on? She said, well, dad's been working a lot. We're thinking maybe he's upset about that. And, can I bring him in to talk to you, just to talk and see what's going on for him? Maybe he'll tell you because he won't tell me. I said, okay. So brought him in. He comes in. Everything's great. I just joined the basketball team. I'm doing well in school. Everything's fine. It was the end of the year. It was almost summertime. He was happy. So I said to mom, brought her back in the room. I said, he seems perfectly fine. I have no idea what's going on. Oh, and by the way, how are the supplements? Do you need any more? She's like, oh, he's been off them for 3 weeks. We ran out. I said, you think that might help to get him back on the enzymes? Yeah, okay. Yeah, and she put him back on and it helped. So sometimes the intervention will actually be physical. They did not use any of the frequencies, but the assessment, we never would have gotten to digestive health, I don't think. Knowing what I know now, yeah, but back then I never would have gotten to it without the assessment, without the scan.
No, it's amazing. I mean, you're saving them a tremendous amount of visits, really.
Yeah.
In the work that you're doing. It's so efficient and it just makes so much sense. That doesn't mean that you won't prosper, because every person is going to be out talking about you and probably sending people to you by word of mouth, I would think, because you are doing such a wonderful job. What other cases would you like to talk about?
I have I'll tell you just a funny aside that has nothing to do with anxiety. Well, it does indirectly, but I have had 2 confirmed clients who were pregnant, and they found out about it through the Genius scan.
Are you serious?
And that might have made them anxious. Yeah, they came for other things. And just by looking at the hormones and this and that. And I don't even know really that much about hormones. I was just kind of shooting from the hip, and also intuition and sacral chakra popping up. And I was just like, could you be maybe pregnant? Oh no, they both said. One person already had 6 kids, and one person had only been dating someone for 2 months. So it was not on the radar. Well, P.S. you know, get an email a little bit later and you find out it was true. So yeah, there's some strange things that can happen. So I have a really great case. This one was one of the very first ones I used the technology with that really blew me away. I was working actually life coaching this particular woman. She was in her 20s. She's a teacher, and she commuted 2 hours to her job every day. She did kind of like a carpool thing. So she didn't always drive, but mostly she drove. And she came in with anxiety and panic attacks. And she felt that probably it was related to driving, because the panic attacks either happened while she was driving in the morning or when she got to work. So we talked about it. I was doing pretty traditional therapy with her, or life coaching with her at this point. And we had some theories about maybe it was her job she was anxious about. It was a pretty hard job. She worked in special ed. Maybe it was her relationship and where she was at life stage wise. She was probably had been married, I think, about 3 years at this point. And she was feeling some pressure to sort of start a family and not sure how she felt about that. And so we had a theory, maybe it was a conflict of her roles. You know, she really wanted to go back to grad school, and she was getting pressure from her family and her peers to have children. So we were working on all of that, and really and also doing behavioral techniques we always do with anxiety and panic attacks. And she did not want to go on medication. She really did not, but she was at the point where she thought, I just have to, otherwise she was going to have to quit her job. So it's around this time, it's probably about 2 months went by, where I finally discovered the genius and started using it with people. And she was one of the very first people I ran. And I was like, you know what, let me just give it a shot. So told her about this crazy thing and humor me, and let's just try it. So we tried it, and what came up was blood sugar. Across the different panels, I kind of figured it out. And I said to her, what do you eat for breakfast? And I did my little kind of like food log question. She said, oh, I don't eat breakfast. I said, okay, well, what do you eat once you get to school? Oh, I don't eat when I get to school. There's no time. And she's in a high pressure classroom. She's running all day. So her adrenaline's going, she's stressed. I said, well, when do you eat? She said, oh, when I get home at night. I said, oh my gosh. I said, you know what? I don't think you're having panic attacks. I think you're having hypoglycemic attacks.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's what it turned out to be. And she started having smoothies that she brought in her car in the morning, and she started eating lunch, and everything went away.
That is amazing.
And this is a person who, by traditional treatment, would be on probably Xanax or Lexapro by now, and possibly would have quit her job and would have spent quite a lot of money on therapy analyzing the conflict between her being a teacher or a mother. So the
resolution of the blood sugar resolved it.
Everything. Yep. That was it. And I know I'm hypoglycemic myself, which I didn't discover actually till quite a bit after this, because this case actually helped me to discover it. So I know that feeling.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. It's hard to focus on anything. You would get anxiety, you would get the feel shaky. It makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. So that was pretty cool. I really like investigating. I like that this tool can help with the investigation. I like that it cuts to the chase. I like that I can really give a person a pretty good sense of what's going on with them, in conversation with them, of course, and then a sense of where to go, what to do next, protocol. So
I absolutely love it. I love it.
Yeah. And for ADD, I'll give you a little ADD, another ADD example. So for ADD, I like to look at a few things. I get a lot of people come to me. I don't do testing right now, but a lot of people will come in and wonder if they really have ADD. Usually kids, do they need to be medicated? And so I'll look at some things like the brain anatomy section. where with ADD, it especially impacts people in the frontal lobe area. That's the executive functioning area, planning, organizing, all those things I'm horrible at. And also the parietal lobe, which is the sensory section of the brain. So if those are not out of whack, I think to myself, there might be something else going on. Or if I scan the person multiple times and those are never implicated, I kind of wonder if it might be more anxiety. So it's a little bit of a differential assessment. And then I also look at the neurotransmitters and I look at dopamine to see what's going on there. Oftentimes people with true ADD will have a dopamine imbalance. I look at—
And do you consider it to be low dopamine?
Yeah, usually people with ADD need more dopamine. That's why they feel better when they take stimulants. So caffeine or drugs or ADD medications usually will help to focus. So when I see the dopamine out of balance, then that's what I will usually see as part of ADD as opposed to anxiety, because usually the differential diagnosis is ADD versus anxiety. When I look at the Bach flower essences with ADD, I'll often see clematis, which is difficulty concentrating, or sort of the daydreamer type person.
Wow.
You'll see impatience, which is impatience, of course, and scleranthus, which is difficulty making decisions or making choices. You'll see those.
Fascinating. Wow, that's totally fascinating.
Yeah. You'll see often the person is in their hormones. You'll see epinephrine because they're kind of living in adrenaline mode a lot. People with—
You're saying for people with ADD?
Yep. It's kind of just like a profile, I guess, of ADD. And granted, there are different types of ADD. I know someone's probably going to mention that, and you can drill even deeper. But I'm talking about a really gross assessment just to kind of get a hypothesis. And I also look at the vision assessment, because there are kids who have visual difficulties and they're misdiagnosed with ADD. So I definitely look at the vision assessment panel. I think that's in the extra panels.
What have you found so far with the vision panel?
Just if they have any kind of visual difficulties where they can't see as well. So if they have like amblyopia, or say they're nearsighted and there's a lot going on in the distance that they can't see, or if they have any kind of dysregulation between the two sides of the brain working together, all that can affect kids. And there's actually, I forget what they call them, but there are ophthalmologists who specifically focus on that area, holistic type ophthalmologists, that kids can go get a visual assessment specifically for that as well. And there is an ADHD panel too that helps to look at root causes.
Yeah, fantastic. No, I love how you're using the genius in a way to really empower the people that you're working with, because so many of this population have the potential to be misdiagnosed, and you seems like you're doing an incredible service for them.
Yeah, and that's my passion, to really, really dig deep down, and also to, like you said, to empower them to make changes so that they're not feeling anxious. Some things you can't change. I mean, if there's a child that truly has autism, you're not going to change that, but you can help them feel more comfortable in their world. You can help reduce their anxiety if you look at these different factors like nutrition or neurotransmitter imbalance, things like that. Funny story, and I'm not sure if I should say this because it kind of goes against the ethics of the genius, but I did scan Donald Trump once.
Oh, tell us about it.
So there was a speech that he had done. So I was able to get his voice that way. And I also scanned Oprah, and they were very different. But I had a little contest on my page to see who could guess who they were, and it was fun. But the interesting thing about Donald Trump is, his son is autistic, and there have been theories that possibly he is as well, which would explain a lot. But he was way off on oxytocin, and oxytocin is one thing that shows up as being out of balance with people on the spectrum. So I thought that was quite interesting. But another interesting thing about him is that he had these on his aura, which was fantastic. I have to dig it up and send it to you sometime. He had these giant green beams coming up from the bottom, from the root chakra. And I said, what in the world? I have no idea what that is. So green, I interpret that as healing energy. And someone who was looking at it said, you know, he golfs a lot. That might be the place where he gets his healing energy, you know, from his source, from the earth. So I thought that was kind of cool.
No, it's really interesting. It's an interesting contemplation because people are in the public arena. So you do have the right to sort of evaluate them based on information you find about them. And we're always wanting to know, like, who's lying, who's telling the truth. So I think it's a natural sort of curiosity. That's fascinating. Now, is there any other strategy or technique or something you want to share with us, or you started to tell us about some cases, and then you told us about an initial one where you'd help the woman with hypoglycemia. Are there others that you'd like to share about?
Yeah, there's 2 more panels that I do use, and I use them mostly for adults. One case where it helped with kids, and one is the past life panel. That is a phenomenal extra panel you can get, where it's similar to an Akashic Records reading, which a lot of my friends do. So I was interested to see how that would work. I started using it more as a party trick, I guess you could say, or a fun thing, but started finding it was really getting to some powerful emotional stuff. So
what was one thing you can think of where it kind of matched where they are in the current life that they are?
Yeah, so a really impactful one was a woman who was very anxious. She thought her husband was cheating on her, and it was an obsession. She could not stop thinking about it. She was constantly asking him and constantly questioning him. And of course, most of her friends were saying, if you're questioning that, if that's your intuition, it's probably true, which made her feel worse. And so she came to see me for anxiety in general, but that was one thing that came up. And she wanted to try the past life panel. She'd seen that I had sort of advertised it, and she thought it'd be cool. Well, the very first one that came up, and I don't know if you have it on your picture there, but the very first one that came up was past life husband betrayal.
Yeah, no, it's on this one. Yeah.
Yeah. And that helped her, so in traditional sort of cognitive behavioral therapy, you would work on thoughts. Thoughts can create feelings, and feelings can make you uncomfortable. And let's focus on changing thoughts as an intervention. And that's all well and good, but with obsessive thoughts, it's really hard. But getting this objective feedback and saying, wow, it sort of took the responsibility off of her, she said, and off of him. And she said, this might be a pattern that I have no control over. That's from another lifetime. That's from way, 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 way back. And I'm letting it control me. Do I want to let that control me? And it was very powerful for her to be able to let that go. And I'm not going to, say it was a miracle overnight, but it was a profound learning for her, and just, I guess, a reframing. I don't know if I believe in past lives or not. It's really kind of the jury's out for me, but I find it to be something symbolically that's very helpful for people.
Absolutely. She resonated with it strongly. And if it evokes a healing, then it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Absolutely. And the other one is the success panel, which I'm also obsessed with. And I actually can share how that worked for me. It's worked for other people as well, but what it does is it identifies obstacles to abundance and abundance thinking. So for example, maybe feeling worthy, or different thoughts that you might have to that serve as obstacles to receiving abundance in your life, whether it be financial or career or relationships. So of course, money is everywhere. I love that. So I ran it on myself, as well as, of course, all my friends as soon as I got it, and had a lot of great experiences. But the most profound impact on a clearing was for me. So I actually just recently made, or I'm in the process of making, a transition in my career from focusing in general on wellness and running my wellness center to really honing in on my private practice and focusing on the kiddos and the specific niches that I work in. Running a wellness center is a lot of work, and I was finding that I was burning out, and I was sort of in a period of contemplation. What should I do? And feeling like I really want to stay with the wellness center because I've made all these commitments and had so much fun and really am enjoying it. So when I ran the success panel on myself, what came up in the there's a section where people, motivational speakers and healers are suggested that you might resonate with. I can't remember the name of that particular one.
Successful people frequencies, yeah. Because it tunes into their frequency that they entrain in themselves when they are successful. Not when they're having a bad day, but when they're manifesting success, they are resonating at a frequency.
Absolutely. So I ran the whole thing. It all made sense. And then the person who was the person, I'm looking on that list. I can't remember his name. But the person that came up for me, I'm looking at your list. I'm not seeing it. But the person that came up for me, I actually looked him up on YouTube and started watching some of his videos. And what he was saying was making so much sense. And the particular video I happened to see was on focus. And he said, he said, successful people focus. They don't do a million different things is essentially what I heard. And that's what I needed to hear. So it actually helped me watching that, getting that feedback, and also doing a clearing. Like literally overnight, I was able to make the decision to transfer my wellness center and sell it, to focus on building my practice, to start a new initiative online, and to not feel guilty about it. So I'm really excited about that. And that was,
I'm super excited. You're really using the information in such a clever and skillful way, Heather. It's really inspiring. And you're using it for your most positive impact for your clients and for yourself in your life. And that is really, I think, what the potential of biofeedback is when it's used well, when it's used skillfully. So you're hugely inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. I get all my inspiration from you. I listen to you every week on the replay when I'm driving. So
that's great. That's nice to hear.
It's amazing how powerful this technology is and how it just gets, it's an example of using electronics for good. So I kind of like that.
Yay! I know.
But I encourage everybody to take a look, to try the free trial, to see what it can do for you, for your family, for your clients, if you're a healer. It doesn't replace what you do. Nothing can replace the human touch, of course, and that connection. It just augments it and really, really brings you into a million different directions you never realized you could go. So I'm very grateful that this technology found me and that I've been connected with you as well and been able to learn so much from you.
Well, it's my pleasure to have you on today. Thank you so much to see where you're taking this and running with it. And also you're just changing so many lives locally around you. I love the idea of the interventions that you're doing. You're really shape-shifting in a way that probably nobody is working with kids in your area or even probably in the entire state of Massachusetts. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll keep you posted.
I love it. All right, Heather, have a wonderful afternoon. And thanks again for being part of the summit.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. So great. So wonderful. Wow. That was just, all of our guests today have been like super home runs, just so wonderful, so inspiring. Thank you so much to Dr. Heather Juby. She's doing so much incredible work with the people. And I've learned so much from her today about how she's working with the genius. I love that she's been able to help children express themselves better. And that has helped the child to be able to get better faster rather than needing session after session after session. We've been able to just get to the point of the matter, get to the heart of the matter and help the child. And she's been able to help her clients with anxiety by going into the knowledge base that she has, looking at the neurotransmitters, looking at the amino acids, looking at all of these things and really being able to use this in a clever way that ultimately saves her clients a lot of money. She's able to go a lot faster, and she's able to take her own cognitive knowledge, her knowledge about nutrition, her knowledge about neurotransmitters, and put that all together with biofeedback so that it's meaningful. And I've always said that when you do that, you're sort of hitting that home run. You're able to really tell people very precise information. We don't call it a diagnosis, but when you put everything together like that, it really makes sense and resonates for someone. It would be silly not to share that information. So again, many thanks to Dr. Heather Juby for her time today. It was really inspiring. I love the strategies. So thank you so, so much. Are you guys enjoying the summit? Are you guys having a good time? Are you getting something out of it? Have you been able to get some snacks and refreshment in between the sessions? I hope that you have. Give me a note down in the chat if you're getting something out of the sessions that we're doing today, if it's maybe inspiring you to download the trial or share it with other people. Go ahead and let us know what your reaction, response, what's happening for